Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning to you wherever you are in the world, and welcome to The Show Must Go Online, bringing you live performed readings of Shakespeare's complete works with a global cast every Wednesday. I'm Robert Miles, actor, writer, director, and creator of the Shakespeare Deck. Tonight's Henry IV, Part 1, will start in approximately 15 minutes' time. The first half will run for roughly 90 minutes, with a 5-minute interval followed by a 60-minute second half. We have an action-packed adventure comedy for you tonight, and the first to subvert expectations of history plays by giving as much focus to ordinary everyday people as to the kings and the lords. If this is your first time seeing a Show Must Go Online presentation, please do say hello in the live chat, and our digital groundlings will be happy to make you feel very welcome. I'd like to start with a message for our patrons. Over 140 incredible individuals for pitching in, thanking you for pitching in to support artists in a time of crisis. We have an exciting update for you tonight. The Patreon page now has its own officer, the incredible Ruth Page, who is going to be leading the charge to create and deliver exclusive content for our patrons. This couldn't have come at a better time. Theatres in the UK have been told they can open, but paradoxically cannot stage live performances. We are looking at next year before this will be feasible, and with no rescue package forthcoming from the government. As a result, performers and creatives, like the ones that you see here every week, are going to continue to struggle for the foreseeable. We're now at the we're approaching the halfway stage in the canon. And this is TSMGO's 20th new show, delivered free and available forever. As such, if you're capable of donating anything to our opt-in hardship fund, please click the description of this video to find a link to our Patreon page. Donations can start from as little as £1.20 per month. That's 30p a show. We've also only gone and won an Off West End Oncom Award for Shakespeare's Star Wars, so thank you very much to Off West End for that incredible honour, and thank you to all those who took part in the show. We are dedicated to making these shows, as you know, available for free forever, and Time Out in the UK, now known as Time In, has awards for the cultural initiative that makes life worth living. It only takes a minute to submit your nomination, and it would be incredible for us to celebrate the fantastic work of the more than 300 people who have now been involved in the show so far, generating more than 130,000 views to date from audiences in over 50 countries, if we could get The Show Must Go Online nominated. To vote for us, please hit the Time In link in the description, enter your personal details, go to the cultural initiative that made life worth living section, click Other, and then copy and paste in the wording in the description immediately below the link. Voting closes on 1st of July. And now, to introduce the play, brought to us as always by the wonderful Ben Crystal, it's my pleasure to welcome Erik Rasmussen. Erik Rasmussen is the is Foundation Professor of English at the University of Nevada. He is the co-editor, along with Sir Jonathan Bates, of the Royal Shakespeare Company's Complete Works of Shakespeare, which I still use every week as part of this project. It's an absolutely magnificent tome. Erik, the play is Henry IV, Part 1, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Rob. It is such a pleasure to be able to participate in this extraordinary project. Thank you so much for inviting me. Henry IV, Part 1 was the best-selling play during Shakespeare's lifetime. It went through 6 quarto editions. By contrast, King Lear appeared once. Macbeth and Julius Caesar, never in Shakespeare's lifetime. They had to wait until 7 years after Shakespeare's death, when a couple of Shakespeare's fellow actors brought out his complete works in the first folio in 1623. It is surprising to us that the history plays were the most popular, because Richard II and Richard III were also bestsellers, because in the 21st century, they are arguably Shakespeare's least popular plays. I think that modern audiences think, oh, it's going to be places and dates, and maybe there'll be a quiz afterwards. And so they shy away from the histories, and some of the histories are very infrequently performed, King John and the Henry VIs and so forth. This is just a fallacious way to think about the history plays. They're not about places, they're not about dates, they're about characters. And in Henry IV, the characters are the larger than life Sir John Falstaff and Prince Hal. Henry, the Prince of Wales, the heir apparent, who everyone in Elizabethan England, he was a hero. He was 200 years earlier, had been this playboy in his youth, a ne'er-do-well who looked like he would never amount to anything, and then matured into this magnificent king who led the English forces in the Battle of Agincourt and beat the French, even though they were outnumbered 2-1. So Shakespeare wrote a tetralogy. And the only history you really need to know is that in Richard II, the nobles in England rebel against an ineffectual king, Richard II, and depose him, and he's murdered under suspicious circumstances. And they put Henry Bolingbroke on the throne as Henry IV. And as Henry IV Part 1 opens, and even though the plays are titled Henry IV Part 1 and Part 2, they're really about Prince Hal. Their interest, Shakespeare's interest, his audience's interest, would be in the maturation of this from this prince from being a playboy living in the world of the tavern into becoming the leader that he was. So in Henry IV, it opens with England has been going through this troubled period with deposing a king and putting another one on. Whenever this happened, the Welsh and the Scots would come and attack because they saw a point of weakness. So the Scots have attacked, and the play opens with the English fighting against them. As the play progresses, the nobles who have put Bolingbroke on the throne decide, hey, we're good at deposing kings. We can depose you too. And so they rebel, and you not only have fights with the Scots and the Welsh, but the nobles from within. But principally, what the play is interested in is Prince Hal. And the play gives you two very distinct worlds of the court and the tavern. And it alternates scenes. The scenes in the court are all in verse. They're very structured. They're very formal. Scenes in the tavern are in prose. They are more easygoing, laid back. And indeed, the first line that Falstaff says to Prince Hal is, "What time is it?" And Prince Hal says, "What the devil have you to do with the time of day? You don't care about time. You're out of time. You don't have appointments to meet. You don't have a schedule. You don't have deadlines. You just can get drunk all the time." And this is the distinction between the world of the court, which is a world of responsibility. It is exemplified in the world of the court by Hotspur, who is valiant, is noble, pursues honor, and frequently Henry IV, the king, will say, "Oh, if only our Harrys were switched at birth, and I got this valiant noble Harry, and somebody else got stuck with my ne'er-do-well son." But no, and then so Hotspur is on one side the representative of the court, and then on the other side there's Falstaff. Falstaff is the representative of the tavern. It's a place where one parties, where one drinks, where one is outside of the world of responsibility, where there are no clocks. I teach in Reno, Nevada, and in the casinos here, they have no windows, they have no clocks. They want you to be out of space and time here, and that's the way it is in the world of the tavern. And then there's Hal in between, and he's getting pulled by both. He really enjoys the world of the tavern with his friends from the tavern, but he knows he's being pulled to the court, and by his father, by his sense of responsibility. And one of the really important moments in this play, I think, is at the end of Act 1, Scene 2. Prince Hal has his first soliloquy, and he says, "I know you all. and will a while uphold the unyoked humor of your idleness. And you all is really important. Does he mean, I know all of you in the tavern here, or does he mean, I know you, all of you in the audience, and you're exactly like this. You want to party even though you think you should be responsible. But, you know, right now, he says, yet herein will I imitate the sun. And that sun is a pun. I'm not only on the solar sun, but I'm a son. I am the son of my father. I am the heir apparent here, who doth permit the base contagious clouds to smother up his beauty from the world, that when he please again to be himself, being wanted, he may be more wondered at by breaking through the foul and ugly mists of vapors that did seem to strangle him. If all the year were plain holidays, the sport would be as tedious as to work, but when they seldom come, they wished for come. So when this loose behavior I throw off and pay the debt I never promised, by how much better than my word I am. And so what he's saying is, this is all a plan. I want to party now, but I'm just doing this so that when I assume my responsibilities later, everybody's gonna say, oh my God, we never thought this kid would amount to anything. Now, the key question here is Hal lying to himself, right? He's saying, this is all part of a structured plan on my part. I'm going to lull them into a false sense that I don't have anything to contribute. So when I become this great king, everybody's going to be, oh, how magnificent. Or how many of us have said, yeah, I'm going to party now when I'm young, but I'm going to accept responsibility and stop partying when I get older, when I get married, maybe when I have children. And so it's a really interesting question here, because he clearly says, I'm in control, right? I've got this. Now, I think one of the key elements of this play is, as you move into the world of responsibility, what do you do with your friends that you used to party with? And as many counselors for people who are trying to break addictions will tell you, you cannot associate with those people with whom you used to party, because you'll be drawn back into that lifestyle. You've got to cut it off completely. And so one of the heartbreaking arcs in these plays of Henry IV, part 1 and part 2, is Hal understanding that he's got to break himself away from Falstaff. And this is so hard, because in the world of the play, the world of the tavern is fun. I mean, they drink, they play tricks on each other, they have extempore plays, they seem to care about each other. And then there's the world of the court. And oh my God, the relationship between Hotspur and his wife is really cold. At one point, he tells her, I think I like my horse more than he implies, I love my horse more than I love you. When he hears that his father is deathly ill, Hotspur's response is, well, how does he have time to be ill in such a jostling time? We've got to go fight a battle here. God damn it, why is he sick? So the differences between them are really interesting. And what Shakespeare is trying to do, and succeeds in doing, is saying that what Hal does ultimately is take things from both. And I say, I want to bring the humanizing world of the tavern into the world of responsibility, and this will make me a good king. But in the course of the play, he gets increasingly frustrated with Falstaff, and in Henry IV, part 2, he is crowned king and is going through the streets of London in a coronation parade, and Falstaff comes up and says, Hal, and Hal says, I know ye not, old man, and rejects him and can't have anything more to do with him. And he, in Henry V, which is about ultimately Hal's reign in the Battle of Agincourt. We don't see Falstaff, but we hear that he's died of a broken heart because he was rejected by Hal. And this is so poignant and so interesting. And as I tell my university students, this is something everyone goes through. What do you do with your friends from high school when you've got responsibilities now? You cannot party with them every night, even though they may want you to. What do you do? How do you? I mean, this is a really difficult human problem. The other interesting thing, one of many interesting things about Henry V is Henry IV is that the character Falstaff was initially. So here's the first edition where the history of Henry IV with the Battle of Shrewsbury between the king and the Lord Henry Percy, surnamed Hotspur of the North, with the humorous conceits of Sir John Falstaff. And then the second part, again, the humors of Sir John Falstaff. These are the headlines. What's interesting is that it doesn't seem that Shakespeare called the character initially Falstaff. He called the character after the historical warrior Sir John Oldcastle. But you can see Sir John Oldcastle was a big valiant knight, and Shakespeare made him into this kind of this cowardly drunk who on the battlefield, instead of a pistol in his holster, he has a bottle of Spanish wine. So the heirs of Oldcastle objected to Queen Elizabeth about the portrayal of their famous ancestor. And so some of the family being then remaining, the Queen was pleased to command him, Shakespeare, to alter it. And so it looks like Shakespeare changed the name because of these demands from Oldcastle to Falstaff. And what's really interesting is in the play, there are little puns like this one, my old lad of the castle, which is clearly a pun on the Prince was making an old castle. And there are lines like this. This is an iambic pentameter. Away, good Ned, Falstaff sweats to death. Well, that's only got 9 syllables. But if it was originally, away, good Ned, Oldcastle sweats to death, that's a perfectly iambic pentameter line. And so what we think happened was the play was already in performance. Both plays were in performance. And then word came down, perhaps from the Queen, saying, you've got to change this. This can't be Oldcastle anymore. And so this is a page from the first edition of Henry IV, Part 2. And you can see Falstaff is in the stage directions all through, except for here. And it's old. They missed one. Somebody went through the manuscript and crossed off every Oldcastle and wrote in Falstaff, which again is really pretty fun. So Queen Elizabeth, for her part, apparently loved Falstaff, and there are stories that she told Shakespeare, even though Falstaff had died in Henry V, she told Shakespeare that I want you to write another play with the fat knight Falstaff in it, and I want him to be in love this time. And so the story goes that Shakespeare, in 14 days, turned out the Mary Was of Windsor with Falstaff in it in order to appease Queen Elizabeth. Anyway, thank you all for your time. I'm so looking forward to the performance tonight. Let's move on to it.
Thank you so much, Eric, for that incredible introduction. I love all this material about the two different worlds, that struggle to come of age successfully and synthesize those tensions. I love that idea of it almost being like overcoming an addiction, and that way in which that Shakespeare's tavern has parallels with Nevada's casinos. Would have never have guessed that. That's amazing. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, one and all, the show is about to begin, so please remember to capture your reactions on social using the hashtag #ShowMustGoOnline and strap in for an exciting adventure in Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1. Act 1, Scene 1, London, the Palace. Enter King Henry, Lord John of Lancaster, Earl of Westmoreland, Sir Walter Blunt, with others.
So shaken as we are, so one with care, find we a time for frighted peace to pant and breathe short-winded accents of new broils to be commenced in strands afar remote. The edge of war, like an ill-sheathed knife, no more shall cut his master. Therefore, friends, as far as to the sepulchre of Christ, whose soldier now, under whose blessed cross we are impressed and engaged to fight, forthwith a power of English shall we levy, whose arms were moulded in their mother's womb to chase these pagans in those holy fields over whose acres walked those blessed feet which 1400 years ago were nailed for our advantage on a bitter cross. But this our purpose now is 12-month old, and bootless 'tis to tell you we will go, therefore we meet not now. Then let me hear of you, my gentle cousin Westmoreland, what yesternight our council did decree in forwarding this dear expedience.
My liege, this haste was hot in question, and many limits of the charge set down but yesternight, when all athwart there came a post from Wales, loaden with heavy news, whose worst was that the noble Mortimer, leading the men of Hertfordshire to fight against the irregular and wild Glendower, was by the rude hands of that Welshman taken. 1,000 of his people butchered, upon whose dead corpses there was such misuse, such beastly, shameless transformation by those Welsh women done as may not be without much shame retold or spoken of.
It seems then that the tidings of this broil break off our business for the Holy Land.
This matched with other like, my gracious lord, for more uneven and unwelcome news came from the north, and thus it did import. On Holyrood Day, the gallant Hotspur there, young Harry Percy and brave Archibald, and ever valiant and approved Scot, at Holmesdon met, where they did spend a sad and bloody hour, as by discharge of their artillery. And shape of likelihood the news was told, for he that brought them in the very heat and pride of their contention did take course, uncertain of the issue any way.
Here is a dear and true industrious friend, Sir Walter Blunt, new lighted from his horse, stained with a variation of each soil betwixt that Holmesdon and this seat of ours, and he has brought us smooth and welcome news. The Earl of Douglas is discomfited. 10,000 bold Scots, 22 knights, balked in their own blood, did Sir Walter see on Holmesdon's plains. Of prisoners, Hotspur took Mordache, Earl of Fife and Earl's son to Beaton Douglas, and the Earl of Athol of Murray, Angus and Menteith. This not an honourable spoil, a gallant prize, cousin, is it not?
In faith, it is a conquest for a prince to boast of.
Yea. There, thou makest me sad, and makes me sin in envy that my Lord Northumberland should be the father to so blessed a son who is the theme of honour's tongue. Amongst a grove, the very straightest plant, who is sweet fortune's minion and her pride, whilst I, by looking on the praise of him, see riot and dishonour strain the brow of my young Harry. Oh, that it could be proved that some night-tripping fairy had exchanged in cradle clothes our children where they lay, and called mine Percy his Plantagenet. Then would I have his Harry, and he mine. But let him from my thoughts. What think you, cos, of this young Percy's pride? The prisoners which he hath in his adventure surprised, to his own use he keeps, and sends me word I shall have none but Mordache, Earl of Fife.
This is his uncle's teaching. This is Worcester, malevolent to you in all aspects, which makes him prune himself and bristle up the crest of youth against your dignity.
But I have sent for him to answer this, and for his course a while, we must neglect our holy purpose to Jerusalem. Cousin, On Wednesday next, our council will we hold at Windsor, so inform the lords. But come yourself with speed to us again, for more is to be said and to be done than out of anger can be uttered.
I will, my liege.
Exeunt. Act 1, Scene 2, London, an apartment of the princes. Enter Prince of Wales and Sir John Falstaff.
How? How? Psst, psst. How? 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 What time of day is it, lad?
Why, thou art so fat-witted with drinking of old sack, and unbuttoning thee after supper, and sleeping upon benches afternoon, that thou hast forgotten to demand that which thou wouldst truly know. What a devil hast thou to do with the time of the day, unless hours were cups of sack, minutes, capons, clocks, the tongues of boards, dials, the signs of leaping houses, and the blessed sun himself, a fair hot wench in flame-coloured taffeta. I see no reason why thou shouldst be so superfluous to demand the time of the day.
Indeed, you come near me now. How? For we that take Percy's go by the moon and the 7 stars, and not by Phoebus, he that wandering knight so fair. And I prithee, sweet wag, when thou art king, as God save thy grace, majesty, I should say, for grace thou wilt have none.
What, none?
No, by my troth, not so much as will serve to be prologue to an egg and butter.
Well, how then? Come, roundly.
Well then, sweet wag, when thou art king, let not us that are squires of the night's body be called thieves of the day's beauty. Let us be Diana's foresters, gentlemen of the shade, minions of the moon. And let men say we be men of good government, being governed as the sea is by our noble and chaste mistress, the moon, under whose countenance we steal. And is not my hostess of the tavern a most sweet wench?
Why, what a pox have I to do with my hostess of the tavern?
Well, thou hast called her to a reckoning many times and oft.
Did I ever call thee to pay thy part?
No, I'll give you their due. Thou hast paid all there.
Yea, and elsewhere, as far as my coin would stretch. And where it would not, I've used my credit.
Yea, and so use it that were it not here apparent that thou art heir apparent. But I prithee, sweet wag, shall there be gallows standing in England when thou art king? Do not thou, when thou art king, hang a thief.
No, thou shalt.
Shall I? Oh, rare. Oh, by the Lord, I'll be a brave judge.
Thou judgest false already. I mean, thou shalt have the hanging of thieves, and so become a rare hangman.
Blood! Oh, I'm as melancholy as a gib cat or a lugged bear.
Or an old lion, or a lover's lute.
Yea, or the drone of a Lincolnshire bagpipe. But how, I prithee, trouble me no more with vanity. I would to God thou and I knew where a commodity of good names were to be bought. An old lord of the council rated me the other day in the street about you, sir, but I marked him not. And yet he talked very wisely, but I regarded him not, and yet he talked wisely. And in the street too.
Thou didst well, for wisdom cries out in the street, and no man regards it.
Oh, thou hast damnable iteration, and art indeed able to corrupt a saint. Thou hast done much harm upon me, Hal. God forgive thee for it. Before I knew thee, Hal, I knew nothing. And now am I, if a man should speak truly, little better than one of the wicked. I must give over this life, and give it over. By the Lord, and I do not. I am a villain, and I'll be damned for never a king's son in Christendom.
Where shall we take a purse tomorrow, Jack?
Zoons, where thou wilt, lad, and I'll make one, and I do not. Call me villain and baffle me.
I see a good amendment of life in thee, from praying to purse-taking.
Why, Hal, 'tis my vocation, Hal. 'Tis no sin for a man to labour in his vocation. POINS! Now shall we know if Gadzil have set a watch? Oh, if men were to be saved by merit, what hole in hell were hot enough for him? This is the most omnipotent villain that ever cried stand to a true man.
Good morrow, Ned.
Good morrow, sweet Al. What says Monsieur Remorse? What says Sir John Sack and Sugar Jack? How agrees the devil in thee about thy soul?
He will give the devil his due.
Then art thou damned for keeping thy word with the devil.
Else he'd been damned for cousining the devil.
But, my lads, tomorrow morning by 4 o'clock early at Gad's Hill, there are pilgrims going to Canterbury with rich offerings and traders riding to London with fat purses. I have vizards for you all. You have horses yourselves. Gad's Hill lies tonight in Rochester. I have bespoke supper tomorrow night in Eastcheap. We may do it as secure as sleep. If you will go, I will stuff your purses full of crowns, and if you will not, tarry at home and be hanged.
Hear ye, Edward. If I tarry at home and go not, I'll hang you for going.
You will, Chops.
How will that make one?
Who I rob? I, a thief? Not I, by my faith.
There's neither honesty, manhood, nor good fellowship in thee. Nor thou camest not of the blood royal, if thou darest not stand for 10 shillings.
Well, once in my days, I'll be a madcap.
Aye, that's well said.
Well, come what will, I'll tarry at home.
By the Lord, I'll be a traitor then when thou art king.
I care not.
Sir John, I prithee leave the prince and me alone. I will lay him down such reasons for this adventure that he shall go.
Well, God give thee the spirit of persuasion and him the ears of profiting. Farewell. You shall find me in Eastcheap.
Farewell, the latter spring. Farewell, all Hallows summer.
Now, my good, sweet honey lord, ride with us tomorrow. I have a jest to execute that I cannot manage alone. Falstaff, Bardol, Tito, and Gadsil shall rob these men that we have already waylaid. Yourself and I will not be there. And when they have the booty, if you and I do not rob them, cut this head off our shoulders.
Yea, but 'tis like that they will know us by our horses, by our habits, and every other appointment to be ourselves.
But our horses they shall not see. I'll tie them in the wood. Our vizards we will change after we leave them. And Sarah, I have cases of buckram for the nonce to enmask our noted outward garments.
Yea, but I doubt they will be too hard for us.
Well, for 2 of them, I know them to be as true-bred cowards as ever turned back. And for the 3rd, if he fight longer than he sees reason, I'll forswear armed. The virtue of this jest will be the incomprehensible lies that this same fat rogue will tell us when we meet at supper. How 30 at least he fought with, what wards, what blows, what extremities he endured, and in the reproof of this lives the jest.
Well, I'll go with thee. Provide us all things necessary and meet me tomorrow night in Eastcheap. There I'll sup. Farewell.
Farewell, my lord.
I know you all, and will a while uphold the unyoked humour of your idleness. Yet herein will I imitate the sun, who doth permit the base contagious clouds to smother up his beauty from the world, that when he please again to be himself, being wanted, he may be more wondered at by breaking through the foul and ugly mists of vapours that did seem to strangle him. If all the year were playing holidays, to sport would be as tedious as to work. But when they seldom come, they wished for come, and nothing pleaseth but rare accidents. So when this loose behaviour I throw off, and pay the debt I never promised, by how much better than my word I am, by so much shall I falsify men's hopes, and like a bright metal on a sullen ground, my reformation glittering o'er my fault shall show more goodly, and attract more eyes than that which hath no foil to set it off. I'll so offend to make offence a skill, redeeming time when men think least, I will.
Exit. Act 1, Scene 3, London, the Palace. Enter the King, Northumberland, Worcester, Hotspur, Sir Walter Blunt, and others.
My blood hath been too cold and temperate, unapt to stare at these indignities, and you have found me. For accordingly you tread upon my patience, but be sure, I will from henceforth rather be myself, mighty, and to be feared than my condition, which hath been smooth as oil, soft as young down, and therefore lost that title of respect, which the proud soul ne'er pays but to the proud.
Our house, my sovereign liege, little deserves the scourge of greatness to be used on it. And that same greatness too which our own hands have helped to make so portly.
My lord.
Worcester, get thee gone. For I do see danger and disobedience in thine eye. Oh, sir, your presence is too bold and peremptory, and majesty might never yet endure the moody frontier of a servant brow. You have good leave to leave us. When we need your use and counsel, we shall send for you. You were about to speak.
Yea, my good lord. Those prisoners in your highness's name demanded, which Harry Percy here at Holmdon took, were, as he says, not with such strength denied as is delivered to your majesty. Either envy, therefore, or misprison is guilty of this fault, and not my son.
My liege, I did deny no prisoners, but I remember when the fight was done, when I was dry with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faint, leaning upon my sword, came there a certain lord, neat and trimly dressed, fresh as a bridegroom, and his chin new reaped, showed like a stubble land at harvest home. He was perfumed like a milliner, and as the soldiers bore dead bodies by, he called them untaught knaves, unmannerly, to bring a slovenly, unhandsome corpse betwixt the wind and his nobility. With many holiday and lady terms, he questioned me, mongst the rest demanded my prisoners in your majesty's behalf. I then, all smarting with my wounds being cold, to be so pestered with a popinjay, out of my grief and my impatience, answered neglectingly, I know not what. He should or he should not, for he made me mad to see him shine so brisk and smell so sweet and talk so like a waiting gentlewoman of guns and drums and wounds, God save the mark, and telling me that but for all these vile guns, he would have himself been a soldier. This bald, unjointed chat of his, my lord, I answered indirectly, as I said, and I beseech you, let not his report come current of an accusation betwixt my love and your high majesty.
Circumstance considered, good my lord, whate'er Lord Harry Percy then had said, to such a person and in such a place at such a time, with all the rest retold, may reasonably die, and never rise to do him wrong, or any way impeach what then he said, so he unsay it now.
Why, yet he doth deny his prisoners, but with proviso and exception, that we, at our own charge, shall ransom straight his brother-in-law, the foolish Mortimer, who on my soul hath wilfully betrayed the lives of those that he did lead to fight against that great magician, damned Glendower, whose daughter, as we hear, that Mortimer hath lately married. Shall our coffers then be emptied to redeem a traitor home? No. On the barren mountains let him starve. For I shall never hold that man my friend, whose tongue shall ask me for 1 penny cost to ransom home revolted Mortimer.
Revolted Mortimer? He never did fall off, my sovereign liege, but had a chance of war. To prove that true needs no more but 1 tongue for all those wounds, those moithered wounds which valiantly he took, when on the gentle Severn's sedgy bank, in single opposition hand to hand, he did confound the best part of an hour in changing hardiment with great Glendower. Never did base and rotten policy colour her working with such deadly wounds, nor never could the noble Mortimer receive so many, and all willingly. Then let him not be slandered with revolt.
Thou dost belie him, Percy. Thou dost belie him. He never did encounter with Glendower. I tell thee, he durst as well have met the devil alone as owing Glendower for an enemy. Art thou not ashamed? But, sirrah, henceforth let me hear you not speak of Mortimer. Send me your prisoners with the speediest means, or you shall hear in such a kind from me as will displease you. My Lord Northumberland, we license your departure with your son. Send us your prisoners, or you will hear of it.
And if the devil come and roar for them, I will not send them. I will straight after and tell him so, for I will ease my heart, albeit I make a hazard of my head.
What, drunk with choler? Stay and pause a while. Here comes your uncle.
Speak of Mortimer. Soon I will speak of him, and let my soul want mercy if I do not join with him. Yea, on his part, I'll empty all these veins and shed my dear blood drop by drop in the dust. But I will lift up the downtrod Mortimer as high in the air as this unthankful king, this ingrate and cankered Bolingbroke.
Brother, the king hath made your nephew mad.
Who struck this heat up after I was gone?
He will forsooth have all my prisoners. And when I urged the ransom once again of my wife's brother, then his cheek looked pale, and on my face he turned the eye of death, trembling even at the name of Mortimer.
I cannot blame him. Was not he proclaimed by Richard that dead is the next of blood?
He was. I heard the proclamation. And then it was when the unhappy king, whose wrongs in us God pardon, did set forth upon his Irish expedition, from whence he intercepted, did return to be deposed and shortly murdered.
And for whose death we in the world's wide mouth live scandalized and foully spoken of.
But soft, I pray you. Did King Richard then proclaim my brother Edmund Mortimer heir to the crown?
Did. Myself did hear it.
Nay. Then I cannot blame his cousin king that wished him on the barren mountains starve. But shall it be that you that set the crown upon the head of this forgetful man, and for his sake wear the detested blot of murderous subornation, shall it be that you a world of curses undergo? Shall it for shame be spoken in these days, or fill up the chronicles in time to come, that men of your nobility and power did gauge them both in an unjust behalf, as both of you, God pardon it, have done? To put down Richard, that sweet, lovely rose, and plant this thorn, this canker Bolingbroke? And shall it in more shame be further spoken, that you are fooled, discarded, and shook off by him for whom these shames ye underwent? No. Yet time serves wherein you may redeem your banished honours and restore yourselves into the good thoughts of the world again. Revenge the jeering and disdained contempt of this proud king, who studies day and night to answer the debt he owes you, even with the bloody payment of your deaths. Therefore I
Peace,
say...
cousin, say no more. And now, I will unclasp a secret book, and to your quick conceiving discontents, I'll read you matter deep and dangerous, as full of peril and adventurous spirit as to o'erwalk a current roaring loud on the unsteadfast footing of a spear.
If he fall in, good night, or sink or swim, send danger from the east into the west, so honour cross it from the north to south, and let them grapple. Oh, the blood more stirs to rise a lion than to start a hare.
Imagination of some great exploit drives him beyond the bounds of patience.
By heaven, methinks it were an easy leap to pluck bright honour from the pale-faced moon, or dive into the bottom of the deep where fathom line could never touch the ground, and pluck up joined honour by the locks, so he that doth redeem her thence might wear without co-rival all her dignities. But out upon this half-faced fellowship.
He apprehends a world of figures here, but not the form of what he should attend. Good cousin, Give me audience for a while.
I cry you mercy.
Those same noble Scots that are your prisoners, I want you to, you should. The same noble Scots that are your prisoners.
I'll keep them all. By heaven, he shall not have a Scot of them. No, if a Scot would save his soul, he shall not. I'll keep them by this hand.
But you start away and lend no ear unto my purposes. Those prisoners you shall keep.
Nay, I will, that's flat. He said he would not ransom Mortimer, forbade my tongue to speak of Mortimer, but I will find him when he lies asleep, and in his ear I'll holler, Mortimer. Nay, I'll have a starling shall be taught to speak nothing but Mortimer, and give it him to keep his anger still in motion.
Hear you, cousin, a word.
All studies here I solemnly defy, save how to gall and pinch this Bolingbroke, and that same sword and buckler Prince of Wales. But think I that his father loves him not, and would be glad he met with some mischance. I would have him poisoned with a pot of ale.
Farewell, kinsman. I'll talk to you when you are better tempered to attend.
Why, what a wasp-stoned and impatient fool art thou to break into this woman's mood, trying thine ear to no tongue but thine own.
Good uncle, tell your tale. I have done.
Oh, nay, if you have not to it again, we will stay your pleasure.
I have done, if.
Then once more to your Scottish prisoners. Deliver them up without their ransom straight, and make the Douglas's son your only mean for powers in Scotland, which, for divers reasons which I shall send you written, be assured will easily be granted. You, my lord, your son in Scotland being thus employed, shall secretly into the bosom creep of that same noble prelate well beloved, the Archbishop.
Of York, is it not?
True, who bears hard his brother's death at Bristol, the Lord Scroop. I speak not this in estimation at what I think might be, for what I know is ruminated, plotted, and set down, and only stays but to behold the face of that occasion that shall bring it on.
I smell it. Upon my life, it will do wondrous well.
Well, the game is afoot, thou let slip.
Why, it cannot choose but be a noble plot. And then the power of Scotland and of York to join with Mortimer. Ha!
And so they shall.
In faith, it is exceedingly well aimed.
And 'tis no little reason bids us speed, to save our heads by raising of a head. For bear ourselves as even as we can, the king will always think him in our debt, and we think ourselves unsatisfied till he hath found a time to pay us home. And see already how he doth begin to make us strangers to his looks of love.
He does. He does. Will be revenged on him.
Farewell, good brother. We shall thrive, I trust.
Uncle, adieu. Oh, let the hours be short, till fields and blows and groans applaud our sport.
Exeunt. Act 2, Scene 1. Rochester, an inn-yard. Enter two carriers with a lantern in their hands. Enter Gadshill.
Good morrow, carriers. What's o'clock?
I think it be 2 o'clock.
I prithee, lend me thy lantern to see my gelding in the stable.
Nay, by God, soft I know a trick worth 2 of that, if faith.
Well, prithee, lend me thine.
I when canst tell. Lend me thy lantern, quoth he. Marry, I'll see thee hanged first.
Sirrah Carrier, what time do you mean to come to London?
Enough to go to bed with a candle, I warrant thee. Come, neighbour Muggs, we'll call up the gentlemen. They will along with company, for they have great charge.
What ho, Chamberlain?
Oh, good morrow, Master Gadshill. It holds current that I told you yesternight. There's a Franklin in the Wild of Kent hath brought 300 marks with him in gold. I heard him tell it to one of his company last night at supper, a kind of auditor, one that hath abundance of charge too, God knows what. They're up already and call for eggs and butter. They will away presently.
Sirrah, if they meet not with St. Nicholas's clerks, I'll give thee this neck.
No, I will none of it. I pray thee, keep that for the hangman. For I know thou worshippest St. Nicholas as truly as any man of falsehood may.
What talkest thou to me of the hangman? If I hang, I'll make a fat pair of gallows, for if I hang, old Sir John hangs with me, and thou knowest he is no starveling. I am joined with no footland rakers, no Longstaff sixpenny strikers, none of these mad, mustachioed, purple-hued maltworms, but with nobility and tranquility, burgomasters and great owners such as can hold in, and speak sooner than drink, and drink sooner than pray. Give me thy hand. Thou shalt have a share in our purchase, as I am a true man.
Nay, rather let me have it, as you are a false thief.
Go to. Homo is a common name to all men. Now, bring the ostler, bring me my gelding out of the stable. Farewell, you muddy knave.
Exeunt. Act 2, Scene 2, a highway near Gad's Hill. Enter Prince, Peto and Bardolph with POINS following just behind.
Come, shelter, shelter. I've removed Falstaff's horse and he frets like a gummed velvet.
Stand close.
POINS. POINS. POINS to be hanged. POINS.
Peace, ye fat-kidneyed rascal. What a brawling dost thou keep?
Where's POINS, Hal?
He has walked up to the top of the hill. I'll go seek him.
I am accursed to robbing that thief's company. The rascal hath removed my horse and tied him I know not where. If I travel but 4 foot by the square, further a foot, I shall break my wind. Well, I doubt not, but to die a fair death for all this, if I escape hanging for killing that rogue. I have forsworn his company hourly any time this 22 years, and yet I am bewitched with the rogue's company. If the rascal hath not given me medicines to make me love him, I'll be hanged. It could not be else. I have drunk medicines. POINS! Hal! The plague upon you both, Bardolph, Peto! I'll starve ere I rob a foot further, and 'twere not as good a deed as drink to turn a true man and leave these rogues. I am the veriest varlet that ever chewed with a tooth. 8 yards of uneven ground is 70 miles afoot with me, and the stony-hearted villains know it well enough. A plague upon it when thieves cannot be true to one another. A plague upon you all! Give me my horse, you rogues! Give me my horse and be hanged!
Peace, ye fat guts. Lie down. Lay thine ear close to the ground, and list if thou canst hear the tread of travellers.
Have you any levers to lift me up again, being down? Blood! I'll not bear my own flesh so far afoot again for all the coin in thy father's exchequer. What a plague mean you to cult with us?
Thou liest. Thou art not colted, thou art uncolted.
I prithee, good prince, Hal, help me to my horse, good king's son.
Out, ye rogue! Shall I be your ostler?
Hunt thyself in thy own heir-apparent garters. If I be ta'en, I'll peach for this. And I have not ballads made on you all and sung to filthy tunes. Let a cup of sack be my poison. When a jest is so forward, and a foot too, I hate it.
Stand.
So I do, against my will.
Oh, it's our setter. I know his voice.
What news?
Casey, on with your vizards. There's money in the king's coming down the hill. 'Tis going to the king's exchequer.
You lie, you rogue. 'Tis going to the king's tavern.
There's enough to make us all.
To be hanged.
Sirs, you four shall front them in the narrow lane. Ned POINS and I will walk lower. If they escape from your encounter, then they light on us.
How many be there of them?
Some 8 or 10?
Zones, will they not rob us?
What? A coward, Sir John Paunch?
Indeed, I am not John of Gaunt, your grandfather, but yet no coward, Hal.
Well, we leave that to the proof.
Sirrah Jack, thy horse stands behind the hedge. When thou needst him, there thou shalt find him. Farewell, and stand fast.
Now, cannot I strike him if I should be hanged?
Ned, where are our disguises?
Here, hard by, stand close.
Now, my masters, happy man be his dole, say I. Every man to his business.
Come, neighbor, the boy shall lead our horses down the hill. We'll walk afoot a while and ease our legs.
Stand!
Jesus, save us!
Strike! Down with them! Caterpillar flanks! Horton caterpillars! Bacon fed knaves! We hate us, you! Down with them! Fleece them!
Oh, we are undone. Both ours, forever.
Hang ye, you gore-bellied knaves! Are ye undone? No, you fat chuffs! I would your store were here on Bacon's on. What, ye knaves, young men must live. You are grand jurors, are ye? Well, we'll jure ye. Faith.
The thieves have bound the true men. Now could thou and I rob the thieves and go merrily to London. It would be an argument for a week, laughter for a month, and a good jest forever.
Stand close, I hear them coming.
Come, my masters, let us share, and then to horse before day. And the prince and POINS be not too arrant cowards. There's no equity stirring. There's no more valour in that POINS than in a wild duck.
Your money!
Villains!
God with much ease. Now, merrily to horse. The thieves are all scattered and possessed with fear so strongly they dare not meet each other. Each takes his fellow for an officer. Away, good Ned. Falstaff sweats to death and lards the lean earth as he walks along. But not for laughing, I should pity him.
How the fat rogue roared.
Exeunt. Act 2, Scene 3, Warkworth Castle. Enter Hotspur Solace, reading a letter.
But for mine own part, my lord, I could be well contented to be there, in respect of the love I bear your house. He could be contented. Why is he not then? In the respect of the love he bears our house. He shows in this he loves his own barn better than he loves our house. Let me see some more. The purpose you undertake is dangerous. Why, that's certain. 'Tis dangerous to take a cold, to sleep, to drink. But I tell you, my lord fool, out of this nettle, danger, we pluck this far, safety. The purpose you undertake is dangerous. The friends you have named uncertain. The time itself unsorted, had your whole plot too light for the counterpose of so great an opposition. Say you so? Say you so? I say unto you again, you are a shallow, cowardly hind, and you lie. What lack brain is this? By Lord, our plot is as good a plot as ever was laid. Our friends true and constant, a good plot, good friends, and full of expectation. An excellent plot, very good friends. What frosty-spirited rogue is this? Why, my Lord of York commends the plot and the general course of the action. Zoons, were I now by this rascal, I could brain him with his lady's fan. Is there not my father, my uncle and myself, Lord Edmund Mortimer, my Lord of York, and Owen Glendower. Is there not besides the Douglas? Have I not all their letters to meet me in arms by the 9th of the next month? And are they not some of them set forward already? What pagan rascal is this? An infidel. You shall see now, in very sincerity of fear and cold heart, will he to the king, and lay open all our proceedings. Oh, I could divide myself and go to buffets for moving such a dish of skim milk with so honourable an action. Hang him! Let him tell the king. We are prepared. I will set forward tonight. How now, Kate? I must leave you within these 2 hours.
Oh, my good lord, why are you thus alone? For what offence have I this fortnight been a banished woman from my Harry's bed? Tell me, sweet lord, what is it that takes from thee thy stomach, pleasure, and thy golden sleep? Why dost thou bend thine eyes upon the earth and start so often when thou sitt'st alone? Why hast thou lost thy fresh blood in thy cheeks, and given my treasures and my rights of thee to thick-eyed musing and cursed melancholy? In thy faint slumbers, I by thee have watched and heard thee murmur tales of iron wars, speak terms of manage to thy bounding steed, cry courage to the field, and thou hast talked of sallies and retires, of trenches, tents, of palisadoes, frontiers, parapets, of basilisks, of cannon, culverin, of prisoners' ransom, and of soldiers slain, and all the currents of a heady fight. Thy spirit within thee hath been so at war, and thus hath so bestirred thee in thy sleep, that beads of sweat have stood upon thy brow like bubbles of a late disturbed stream, and on thy face strange motions have appeared, such as we see when men restrain their breath on some great sudden haste. Oh, what portents are these? Some heavy business hath my lord at hand, and I must know it, else he loves me not.
What ho? That butler brought those horses in from the sheriff.
1 horse, my lord, he brought even now.
What horse? Roan? A crop-ear, is it not?
It is, my lord.
That roan shall be my throne. Well, I will back him straight. Oh, Esperance! Bid butler lead him forth into the park.
But hear you, my lord.
What sayest thou, my lady?
What is it carries you away?
Why, my horse, my love, my horse.
Out, you mad-headed ape! A weasel hath not such a deal of spleen as you are tossed with. In faith, I'll know your business, Harry, that I will. I fear my brother Mortimer doth stir about his title and has sent for you to line his enterprise, but if you go...
So far afoot I shall be weary, love.
Come, come, you parakeeto, answer me directly unto this question that I ask. In faith, I'll break thy little finger, Harry, and if thou wilt not tell me all things true.
Away! Away, ye trifler! Love? I love thee not. I care not for thee, Kate. This is no world to play with mammoths and to tilt with lips. We must have bloody noses and cracked crowns and pass them current too. God me my horse! What sayest thou, Kate? What wouldst thou have with me?
Do you not love me? Do you not indeed? Well, do not then, for since you love me not, I will not love myself. Do you not love me? Nay, tell me if you speak in jest or no.
Come, wilt thou see me ride? And when I am a horseback, I will swear I love thee infinitely. But hark you, Kate, I must not have you henceforth question me. Whither I go, nor reason whereabout, whither I must. And to conclude, this evening must I leave thee, gentle Kate. I know you are wise, but yet no farther wise than Harry Percy's wife. Constant you are, but yet a woman. and for secrecy no lady closer, for I well believe thou wilt not utter what thou dost not know. And so far will I trust thee, gentle Kit.
How so far?
Not an inch farther. But hark you, Kit, whither I go, thither shall you go too. Today I will set forth, tomorrow you. Will this content you, Kit?
It must, of force.
Exeunt. Act 2, Scene 4, Eastcheap, the Boar's Head Tavern. Enter Prince and POINS.
Ned! Prithee, come out of that fat room and lend me a hand to laugh a little.
Where hast been, Hal?
Sirrah, I am sworn brother to a leash of drawers, and can call them all by their Christian names as Tom, Dick, and Francis. They take it already upon their salvation that though I be but Prince of Wales, yet I am King of Courtesy, and tell me flatly, I am no proud jack like Falstaff, but a Corinthian. A lad of metal, a good boy, by the Lord, or so they call me, and when I am King of England, I shall command all the good lads in Eastcheap. They call drinking deep, dying scarlet. And when you breathe in your waterings, and cry, they cry, hem, and kids who play it off. To conclude, I am so good a proficient in 1/4 of an hour that I can drink with any tinker in his own language during my life. I tell thee, Ned, thou hast lost much honour that thou wert not with me in this action. But sweet Ned, to sweeten that name of Ned, I give thee this pennyworth of sugar, clapped even now into my hand by an understinker, one that never spake other English in his life than 8 shillings and 6pence, and you are welcome with this shrill addition. Anon, sir, anon, score a pint of bastard in the half moon, or so. But Ned, to drive away the time till Falstaff come, I prithee, do thou stand in some by-room while I question my puny drawer to what end he gave me the sugar, and do thou never leave, calling Francis, that his tale to me be nothing but anon. Step aside, and I'll show thee a precedent.
Francis!
Thou art perfect.
Francis!
Anon, sir.
Oh, come hither, Francis.
Oh, my lord.
How long hast thou to serve, Francis?
Oh, forsooth, 5 years, and as much as to...
Francis!
Anon, sir! Anon, sir! Anon!
How old art thou, Francis?
Oh, let me see. About Michaelmas next, I shall be...
Francis!
Yeah, anon, sir! Pray, stay a little, my lord.
Nay, but hark you, Francis. For the sugar thou gavest me, 'twas a pennyworth, was not?
Oh, Lord, I would it had been 2.
I will give thee £1,000. Ask me when thou wilt, and thou shalt have it.
Francis!
Anon, sir!
Anon, Francis? No, Francis, but tomorrow, Francis, or Francis, a Thursday, or indeed, Francis, when thou wilt. But Francis!
My lord.
Wilt thou rob this leathern jerkin, crystal button, not pated, agate ring, a puke stocking, caddish garter, smooth tongue, a Spanish pouch?
Oh, Lord, sir, who do you mean?
Francis!
Anon, sir, anon!
Away, you rogue! Dost not hear them call? Francis! Francis!
What? Standest thou still and hearest such a calling? Look to the guests within. Oh, my lord, old Sir John with 6 more are at the door. Shall I let them in?
Let them alone a while and then open the door. POINS!
Anon, sir!
Sirrah, Falstaff and the rest of the thieves are at the door. Shall we be merry?
As merry as crickets, my lad. But Hark ye, what cunning match have you made with this jest of a draw? Come, what's the issue?
I am now, in all humours that have showed themselves humours since the days of Goodman Adam to the pupil age of this present, 12 o'clock at midnight. What o'clock, Francis?
Anon, sir.
That ever this fellow should have fewer words than a parrot, and yet the son of a woman. His industry is upstairs and downstairs, his eloquence, the parcel of a reckoning. I'm not yet of Percy's mind, the Hotspur of the North. He that kills me some 6 or 7 dozen of the Scots at breakfast, washes his hands and says to his wife, fie upon this quiet life. I want work. Oh, my sweet Harry, says she, how many hast thou killed today? Give my horse a round drench, says he, and answers, some 14 an hour after. A trifle. I prithee, call in Falstaff. I'll play Percy, and that damn brawn shall play Dame Mortimer, his wife.
Welcome, Jack. Where hast thou been?
A plague of all cowards, I say. And a vengeance too. Marry an amen. Give me a cup of sack, boy. A plague of all cowards. Give me a cup of sack, rogue. Is there no virtue? Extant.
Didst thou never see Titan kiss a dish of butter? A pitiful-hearted Titan that melted at the sweet tale of the suns. If thou didst, then behold that compound.
You rogue! There's lime in this sack too. There is nothing but roguery to be found in villainous men, yet a coward is worse than a cup of sack when lime in it. A villainous coward. Go thy ways. Go thy ways, old Jack, die when thou wilt. If manhood, good manhood, be not forgot upon the face of the earth, then I am a shotten herring. There lives not 3 good men unhanged in England, and one of them is fat and grows old.
How now, Woolsack, what matter you?
A king's son. If I do not beat thee out of thy kingdom with a dagger of lath and drive all thy subjects afore thee like a flock of wild geese, I'll never wear hair on my face more. You, Prince of Wales?
Why, you whoreson round man! What's the matter?
Are you not a coward? Answer me to that, and POINS there.
Zoons, you fat paunch, and you call me coward, by the Lord, I'll stab thee.
I call thee coward? I'll see thee damned ere I call thee coward, but I would give £1,000 I could run as fast as thou canst. You are straight enough in the shoulder, you care not who sees your back. Call you that the backing of your friends? A plague upon such backing. Give me them that will face me. Give me a cup of sack. I am a rogue if I drunk today. A plague of all cowards, still I say.
What's the matter?
What's the matter? There be 4 of us here, have taken £1,000 this day morning.
Where is it, Jack? Where is it?
Where is it? Taken from us it is. 100 upon poor 4 of us.
What, 100, man?
I am a rogue if I were not at half sword with a dozen of them 2 hours together. I have escaped by miracle. I am 8 times thrust through the doublet, 4 through the hose, my buckler cut through and through, and my sword hacked like a handsaw. Ecce signum. I never dealt better since I was a man. All would not do. The plague of all cowards. Let them speak. If they speak more or less than truth, they are villains and the sons of darkness.
Oh, speak, sirs. How was it?
We set upon some Dozen.
16 at least, my lord.
And bound them.
No, they were not bound.
You rogue, they were bound, every man of them.
As we were sharing, some 6 or 7 freshmen set upon us.
And unbound the rest, and then come in the other.
What? Fought you with them all?
All? I know not what you call all, but if I fought not with 50 of them, I'm a bunch of radish. If there were not 2 or 3 and 50 upon poor old Jack, then I am no 2-legged creature.
You have not murdered some of them.
Nay, that's past praying for. I have peppered 2 of them. 2, I am sure, I have paid, 2 rogues in buckram suits. I tell thee what, Hal, if I tell thee a lie, spit in my face, call me a horse. Thou knowest my old ward, here I lay, and thus I bore my point. 4 rogues in buckram, let drive at me.
What, 4? Thou saidst but 2 even now.
No, 4, Hal, I told thee 4.
I said 4.
These 4 came all affront and mainly thrust at me. I made me no more ado, but took all their 7 points in my target thus.
7? Why, there were but 4 even now.
No, in buckram.
Aye, 4 in buckram suits.
7 by these hilts, or I am a villain else.
Prithee, let him alone. We shall have more anon.
Dost thou hear me, Hal?
Aye, and mark thee too, Jack.
Do so, for it is worth the listening to. These 9 in buckram that I told you of.
So 2 more already.
Their points being broken,
down fell their hose,
began to give me ground, but I followed me close, came in foot and hand, and with a thought, 7 of the 11 I paid.
Oh, monstrous. 11 buckram men grown out of 2.
But as the devil would have it, 3 misbegotten knaves in Kendal Green came at my back and let drive at me, for it was so dark, Hal, thou couldst not see thy hand.
These lies are like the father that begets them, gross as a mountain, open, palpable. Why, thou clay-brained guts, thou knotty-pated fool, thou whoreson, obscene, greasy tallow catch.
What, art thou mad? Art thou mad? Is not the truth the truth?
Why, how couldst thou know these men in Kendal Green if it was so dark thou couldst not see thy hand? Come, tell us your reason. What sayst thou to this?
Come, your reason, Jack, your reason.
Upon compulsion. Zoons. And I were at the strappado, or all the racks in the world, I would not tell you upon compulsion. Give you a reason on compulsion, that if reasons were as plentiful as blackberries, I would give no man a reason upon compulsion. Aye.
I'll no longer be guilty of this sin. This sanguine coward, this bed presser, this horseback breaker, this huge hill of flesh.
Blood, you starveling, you eel skin, you dried neat's tongue, you bull's pizzle, you stockfish. Oh, breath to utter what it is like thee, you tailor's yard, you sheath, you bowcase, you vile standing tuck.
Well, breathe a while, and then to it again. And when thou hast tired thyself in base comparisons, hear me but speak this.
Mark, Jack.
We 2 saw you 4 set on 4 and bound them, and were masters of their wealth. Mark now how a plain tale shall be put you down. Then did we 2 set on you 4, and with a word outfaced you from your prize, and have it, yea, and can show it you here in the house. And Falstaff, you carried your guts away as nimbly, with as quick dexterity, and roared for mercy, and still run and roared as ever I heard bull calf. What a slave art thou to hack thy sword as thou hast done, and then say it was in a fight? What trick What device, what starting hole canst thou now find out to hide thee from this open and apparent shame?
Come, let's hear, Jack. What trick hast thou now?
By the Lord, I knew ye as well as he that made ye. Why, here, my masters, was it for me to kill the heir apparent? Should I turn upon the true prince? Why, thou knowest I am as valiant as Hercules, but beware instinct. The lion will not touch the true prince. Instinct is a great matter. I was now a coward on instinct. I shall think the better of myself and thee during my life, I for a valiant lion, and thou for a true prince. But by the Lord, lads, I am glad you have the money! Hostess, clap to the doors, watch tonight, pray tomorrow. Gallants, lads, boys, hearts of gold, all the titles of good fellowship come to you. What? Shall we be merry? Shall we have a play extempore?
Content. And the argument shall be thy running away.
Oh, no more of that, Hal, and thou lovest me.
Oh, Jesus, my lord, the prince.
How now, my lady, the hostess? What sayst thou to me?
Oh, marry, my lord, there is a nobleman of the court at door would speak with you. He says he comes from your father.
Well, give him as much as will make him a royal man, and send him again to my mother.
What manner of man is he?
An old man.
What, doth gravity out of his bed at midnight? Shall I give him his answer?
Prithee, do, Jack.
Faith, and I'll send him packing.
Now, sirs, by a lady you fought fair. So did you, Peto. So did you, Bardolph. You are lions too. You ran away upon instinct. You will not touch the true prince, no fie.
Faith, I ran when I saw the others run.
Faith, now tell me in earnest, how came Falstaff's sword so hacked?
Why, he hacked it with his dagger and said he would swear truth out of England, but he would make you believe it was done in fight and persuaded us to do the like.
And to tickle our noses with spear grass to make them bleed, and then to beslubber our garments, and with it swear it was the blood of true men. I did that I did not this 7 year before. I blushed to hear his monstrous devices.
Oh, villain! Thou stolst the cup of sack 18 years ago and wert taken with the manner, and ever since thou hast blushed extempore. Here comes lean Jack. Here comes Barebone. How now, my sweet creature of bombast? How long is to go, Jack, since thou saw'st thine own knee?
My own knee? When I was about thy years, Hal. I was not an eagle's talon in the waist. I could have crept into any alderman's thumb ring. A plague of sighing and grief, it blows a man up like a bladder. There's villainous news abroad. Here was Sir John Bracy from your father. You must have caught in the morning. That same mad fellow of the north, Percy, and he of Wales, that Lucifer cuckold, and swore the devil is true liegeman upon the cross of a Welsh hook. Oh, what a plague you call him.
Oh, Glendower.
Oh, Owen, the same, and his son-in-law Mortimer, and old Northumberland, and that sprightly Scot of Scots, Douglas, that runs a horseback up a hill perpendicular.
He that rides at high speed and with his pistol kills a sparrow flying.
Well, he is there too, and one Mordache, and 1,000 blue caps more. Worcester is stolen away tonight. Thy father's beard is turned white with the news. You may buy land now as cheap as stinking mackerel.
Why then, it is like if there come a hot June and this civil buffeting hold, we shall buy maidenheads as they buy hobnails, by the hundreds.
By the mass, lad, thou sayest true. It is like we shall have good trading that way. But tell me, Hal, art thou not horrible afeard? Thou being heir apparent, could the world pick thee out 3 such enemies again as that fiend Douglas, that spirit Percy, and that devil Glendower? Art thou not horribly afraid? Doth thy blood not thrill at it?
Not a whit, i'faith. I lack some of thy instinct.
Well, thou wilt be horribly chid tomorrow when thou comest to thy father. If thou lovest me, practice and answer.
Do thou stand for my father and examine me upon the particulars of my life.
Shall I? Content. This chair shall be my state. This dagger, my sceptre, and this cushion, my crown.
Oh, thy state is taken for a joined stool, thy golden sceptre for a leaden dagger, and thy precious rich crown for a pitiful bald crown.
Well, and the fire of grace be not quite out of thee, now shall thou be moved. Now give me a cup of sack to make mine eyes look red, that it may be thought I have wept. Thank you. For I must speak in passion, and I will do it in King Cambyses' vein.
Well, here is my leg.
And here is my speech. Stand aside, nobility.
Oh, Jesus, this is excellent sport, if
Weep not, sweet queen, for trickling tears are vain.
Oh, the father, how he holds his countenance.
For God's sake, lords, convey my tristful queen, for tears do stop the floodgates of her eyes.
Oh, Jesus, he does it like one of those harlotry players as ever I see.
Peace, good pint pot, peace, good tickle brain. Harry, I do not only marvel where thou spendest thy time, but also how thou art accompanied. For though the chamomile, the more it is trodden on, the faster it grows, yet youth, the more it is wasted, the sooner it wears. That thou art my son, I have partly thy mother's word, partly my own opinion, but chiefly a villainous trick of thine eye, and the foolish hanging of thy nether lip, that doth warrant me. If then thou be son to me, here lies the point. Why, being son to me, art thou so pointed at? Shall the blessed Son of Heaven prove a mica and eat blackberries? A question not to be asked. Shall the Son of England prove a thief and take purses? Ooh. A question to be asked. There is a thing, Harry, which thou hast often heard of, and is known to many in our land by the name of pitch. This pitch, as ancient writers do report, doth defile, so doth the company thou keepest. For Harry.
All right.
For Harry. Now, I do not speak to thee in drink, but in tears. Not in pleasure, but in passion. Not in woes and words only, but in woes also. And yet, there is a virtuous man whom I have often noted in thy company, but I know not his name.
What manner of man, like your majesty?
A goodly portly man of faith, and a corpulent, with a cheerful look, a pleasing eye, and a most noble carriage, and as I think his age some 50, or the lady inclining to 80. And now I remember me, his name is
FALSTAFF!
If that man should be lewdly given, he deceiveth me. For Harry, I see virtue in his looks. If then the tree may be known by the fruit, and the fruit by the tree, then parentorally I speak it. There be virtue in that Falstaff. Him keep with, the rest banish. And tell me now, thou naughty varlet, tell me, where hast thou been this month?
Dost thou speak like a king? Do thou stand for me, and I'll play my father.
Depose me? If thou does it half so gravely, so majestically, both in word and matter, hang me up by the heels for a rabbit sucker or a poulter's hair.
Well, here am I set.
And here I stand, judge, my masters.
Now, Harry, whence come you?
My noble lord, from Eastcheap.
The complaints I hear of thee are grievous.
Lad, my lord, they are false. Nay, I'll tickle you for a young prince, eh?
Swearest thou, ungracious boy, henceforth ne'er look on me? Thou art violently carried away from grace. There is a devil haunts thee in the likeness of an old fat man. A ton of man is thy companion. Why dost thou converse with that trunk of humours, that bolting hutch of beastliness, that swollen parcel of dropsies, that huge bombard of sack, that stuffed cloak bag of guts, that roasted manning tree ox with the pudding in his belly, that reverend vice, that grey iniquity, that father ruffian, that vanity in years? Wherein is he good but to taste sack and drink it? Wherein neat and cleanly but to carve, capon and eat it? Wherein cunning but in craft? Wherein crafty but in villainy? Wherein villainous but in all things? Wherein worthy but in nothing?
I would your grace would take me with you. Whom means your grace?
That villainous, abominable misleader of youth, Falstaff, that old white-bearded Satan.
My lord, the man I know.
I know thou dost.
But to say I know more harm in him than in myself were to say I know more than I know. That he is old, the more the pity. His white hairs do witness it, but that he is, saving your reverence, a whoremaster, that I utterly deny. If sack and sugar be a fault, God help the wicked. If to be old and merry a sin, then many an old host I know is damned. If to be fat to be hated, then Pharaoh's lean cows are to be loved. No, good my lord. Banish Peto, banish Bardolph, banish POINS, but for sweet Jack Falstaff, kind Jack Falstaff, true Jack Falstaff, valiant Jack Falstaff, and therefore more valiant, being as he is old Jack Falstaff. Banish not him, thy Harry's company. Banish not him, thy Harry's company. Banish plump Jack, and banish all the world.
I do. I will.
My lord, the sheriff with the most monstrous watch is at the door.
Out, you rogue! Play out the play. I have much to say in the behalf of that Falstaff.
Oh, Jesus, my lord.
Hey, the devil rides upon a fiddlestick. What's the matter?
The sheriff and all the watch are at the door. They come to search the house. Shall I let them in?
Dost thou hear how? Never call a true piece of gold a counterfeit. Thou art essentially made without seeming so.
And thou art a natural coward without instinct.
I deny your major. You will, if you will deny the sheriff, so if not, let him enter. If I become not a cart as well another man, a plague on my bringing up, I hope I shall soon be strangled with a halter as another one.
Go, hide thee behind the arras. The rest walk above. Now, my masters, for a true face and good conscience.
Both of which I have had, but their date is out, and therefore I'll hide me. Oh, yeah.
Call in the sheriff. Now, Master Sheriff, what is your will with me?
First, pardon me, my lord, a hue and cry hath followed certain men into this house.
What men?
One of them is well known, my gracious lord, a gross, fat man.
As fat as butter.
The man, I do assure you, is not here, for I myself at this time have employed him. And Sheriff, I will engage my word to thee that I will by tomorrow dinner time send him to answer thee, or any man, for anything he shall be charged withal. And so let me entreat thee, leave the house.
Well, my lord, there are two gentlemen having this robbery lost 300 marks.
It may be so. If he have robbed these men, he shall be answerable, and so farewell.
Good night, my noble lord.
I think it is morrow, is it not?
Indeed, my lord. I think it'd be 2 o'clock.
This oily rascal is known as well as Paul's. Call him forth.
Falstaff! Fast asleep behind the arras and snorting like a horse.
Hark how hard he fetches breath. Search his pockets. What hast thou found?
Nothing but papers, my lord.
Let's see what they be. Read them.
Item, a capon, 2 shillings 2pence. Item, sauce, 4pence. Item, sack, 2 gallons, 5 shillings 8pence. Item, anchovies and sack after supper, 2 shillings 6pence. Item, bread, 1 halfpenny.
Oh, monstrous! But 1 halfpenny worth of bread to this intolerable deal of sack. What there is else, keep close. We'll read it at more advantage. But there let him sleep till day. I'll to the court in the morning. We must all to the wars. And thy place shall be honourable. I'll procure this fat rogue a charge of foot, and I know his death will be a march of 12 score. The money shall be paid back with advantage. Be with me betimes in the morning, and so, good morrow, Peter.
Good morrow, good my lord.
Exeunt. Act 3, Scene 1, Wales, Glendower's Castle. Enter Hotspur, Worcester, Lord Mortimer, Owen Glendower.
These promises are fair. The party's sure, and our induction full of prosperous hope.
Lord Mortimer and Cousin Glendower, will you sit down? And Uncle Worcester. Oh, plague upon it, I forgot the map.
No. Here it is. Sit, Cousin Percy, sit, good Cousin Hotspur, for by that name as oft as Lancaster doth speak of you. His cheeks look pale, and with a rising sigh he wisheth you in heaven.
And you in hell, as oft he hears Owen Glendower spoke of.
I cannot blame him. At my nativity, the front of heaven was full of fiery shapes of burning cressets, and at my birth, the frame and huge foundation of the earth shaked like a coward.
Why, so it would have done at the same season if your mother's cat had but kittened, though yourself had never been born.
I say, the earth did shake when I was born.
And I say the earth was not of my mind. If you suppose as fearing you, it shook.
Well, the heavens were all on fire. The earth did tremble.
Oh, then the earth shook to see the heavens on fire and not in fear of your nativity.
Cousin, of many men I do not bear these crossings. Give me leave to tell you once again that at my birth, the front of heaven was full of fiery shapes. The goats ran from the mountains, and the herds were strangely clamorous in the frighted fields. These signs have marked me extraordinary, and all the courses of my life do show I am not in the role of common men.
I think there's no man speaks better Welsh. I'll to dinner.
Peace, Cousin Percy. You will make him mad.
I can call spirits from the vasty deep.
Why, so can I, or so can any man. But will they come when you do call for them?
Why, I can teach you, cousin, to command the devil.
And I can teach thee, cuz, to shame the devil by telling truth. Tell truth and shame the devil. If thou have power to raise him, bring him hither. And I'll be sworn I have the power to shame him hence. Oh, while you live, tell truth and shame the devil.
Come, come, no more of this unprofitable chat.
3 times hath Henry Bolingbroke made head against my power. Thrice from the banks of Wye and sandy-bottomed Severn have I sent him bootless home and weather-beaten back.
Home without boots and in foul weather too. How scapes the agues in the devil's name?
What? Come, here is the map. Here, shall we divide our rights according to our threefold order, Tian?
The Archdeacon hath divided it into 3 limits very equally. England from Trent and Severn hitherto, by south and east is to my part assigned. All westward Wales beyond the Severn shore, and all the fertile land within that bound to OWEN GLENDOWER, and dear coz to you, the remnant northward lying off from Trent. Tomorrow, cousin Percy, you and I, and my good lord of Worcester, will set forth to meet your father and the Scottish power, as it appointed us, at Shrewsbury.
Methinks my moiety north from Burton here in quantity equals not one of yours. See how this river comes me cranking in and cuts me from the best of all my land. I'll have a current in this place dammed up. It shall not wind with such a deep indent to rob me of so rich a bottom here.
Not wind? It shall. It must. You see it doth. I'll not have it altered.
Will not you?
Nor shall you not.
Who shall say me nay?
Why, that will I.
Then let me not understand you then. Speak it in Welsh.
I can speak English, Lord, as well as you, for I was brought up in the English court, where being but young, I framed to the heart many an English ditty lovely well, and gave the tongue a helpful ornament, a virtue which was never seen in you.
Marry. And I am glad of it with all my heart. I had rather be a kitten and cry mew than one of these same meter ballad mongers.
Come, you shall have Trent turned.
I do not care. I'll give thrice so much land to any well-deserving friend. Are the indentures drawn? Shall we be gone?
The moon shines fair. You may away by night. I'll haste the writer, and withal break with your wives of your departure hence. Yeah, I am afraid my daughter will run mad, so much she doteth on her Mortimer.
Fie, cousin Percy, how you cross my father.
I cannot choose. Sometimes he angers me with telling me of the moleworp and the ant, of the dream of Merlin and his prophecies, and of a dragon and a finless fish, and such a deal of skimble-scamble stuff as puts me from my faith. I tell you what, he held me last night at least 9 hours in reckoning the several devils' names that were his lackeys. I cried, and well, go to, but marked him not a word. Oh, he is as tedious as a tired horse, a railing wife, worse than a smoky house. I had rather live with cheese and garlic in a windmill far than feed on cakes and have him talk to me in any summer house in Christendom.
In faith, he is a worthy gentleman. I warrant you that man is not alive might so have tempted him, as you have done, without the taste of danger and reproof. But do not use it oft, let me entreat you.
In faith, my lord, you're too wilful blame, and since your coming hither have done enough to put him quite besides his patience. You must needs learn, lord, to amend this fault, though sometimes it show greatness, courage, blood, and that's the dearest grace it renders you, yet oftentimes it does present harsh rage, defect of manners, want of government, pride, haughtiness, opinion and disdain, the least of which, haunting a nobleman, loseth men's hearts and leaves behind a stain upon the beauty of all parts besides, beguiling them of commendation.
Well, I am schooled. Good manners be your speed. Here comes our wives, and let us take our leave.
This is the deadly spite that angers me. My wife can speak no English. I know Welsh.
My daughter weeps. She'll not part with you. She'll be a soldier too. She'll to the wars.
Good father, tell her that she and my Aunt Percy shall follow you in your conduct speedily.
Bydd awr fy merch, radiddo ateb galwad I gad. Ceithiflyn gyda'r awr glwyddus Percy, ond ddim...
Gad I mi'r wisgo, ar mynd gyda thi.
She is desperate here, a peevish, self-willed harlotry that no persuasion can do good upon.
Ond pwy a wir, na welaf mo honno fydd eto. Ofn had, gadewch i mi fynd gyda gech. Niros anna ofn ar fy chlw.
I understand thy looks, that pretty Welsh which thou pourest down from these swelling heavens I'm too perfect in. And but for shame in such a parley should I answer thee.
Soglandwfn, im chlygaid, ond i'n weli dw gari wnath. Ti, fy'n holed glid, ond nawr yn perifath boen.
I understand thy kisses and thou mine, and that's a feeling disputation. But I will never be a truant love till I have learned thy language, for thy tongue makes Welsh as sweet as ditties highly penned, sung by a fair queen in a summer's bower, with ravishing division to her lute.
Nay, if you melt, then she will run mad.
Rwn erfyn ar nati beidio a mynd. Oh, tyr di orweth ar'n broen. A ro dy ben ar fwnwys fwyna, ring na chan idd blesiodi. Yr un sy'n doen fy enw I, a hwsgan soen fy nodau.
Oh, I am ignorance itself in this.
She bids you on the wanton rushes lay you down, and rest your gentle head upon her lap. And she will sing the song that pleaseth you, and on your eyelids crown the god of sleep, charming with blood, with pleasing heaviness.
With all my heart I'll sit and hear her sing. By that time will our book, I think, be drawn.
Do so. And those musicians that shall play to you hang in the air 1,000 leagues hence, and straight they shall be here. Sit and attend.
Come, Kit, thou art perfect in lying down. Come, quick, quick, that I may lay my head in thy lap.
Lie still, ye thief, and hear the lady sing in Welsh.
I'd rather hear lady my brack howl in Irish.
Wouldst thou have thy head broken?
No.
Then be still.
Neither. 'Tis a woman's fault.
Now God help thee.
To the Welsh lady's bed. Shh, peace, she sings.
Dacwn hariar I lawr, una bechlan, surwn di rorwn di dadli lal. Una bani yn y ferchinan, surwn di rorwn di dadli lal. Dacwr sia, dacwr sgibor, dacwr thrws a bede agor. Falliradlilal, falliradlilal, surn di rorn di dadlilal.
Come, Kit, I'll have your song too.
Not mine, in good sooth.
Come, sing.
I will not sing.
'Tis the next way to turn tailor or be a red-breast teacher. And the indentures be drawn, I'll away within these 2 hours. So come in when you will.
Come, come, Lord Mortimer. You are as slow as hot Lord Percy is on fire to go. By this our book is drawn. We'll but seal and then to horse immediately.
With all my heart.
Exeunt. Act 3, Scene 2, London, the Palace. Enter the King, Prince of Wales, Lords, and others.
Lord, give us leave. The Prince of Wales and I must have some private conference, but be near at hand, for we shall presently have need of you. I know not whether God will have it so, for some displeasing service I have done, that in his secret doom out of my blood he'll bleed revengement and a scourge for me to punish my wrist treadings to somebody else. could such inordinate and low desires, such poor, such bare, such lewd, such mean attempts, such barren pleasures, rude society, as thou art matched withal and grafted to, accompany the greatness of thy blood and hold their level with thy princely heart.
So please your majesty, I would I could quit all offences with as clear excuse, as well as I am doubtless I can purge myself of many I am charged withal. Yet such extenuation let me beg, as in reproof of many tales devise, which oft the ear of greatness needs must hear by smiling pick-thanks and base newsmongers. I may some things true, wherein my youth hath faulty, wandered, and irregular, pardon on my true submission.
God pardon thee. Thy place in council thou hast rudely lost, which by thy younger brother is supplied, and art almost an alien to the hearts of all the court, princes of my blood. The hope and expectation of thy time is ruined, and the soul of every man prophetically do forethink thy fall. Had I so lavish in my presence been, so common hackneyed in the eyes of men, so stale and cheap of vulgar company, opinion that did help me to the crown, that still kept loyal to possession, and left me in reputeless banishment, a fellow of no mark nor likelihood. By being seldom seen, I could not stir, but like a comet I was wondered at, that men would tell their children, this is he. Others would say, where? Which is Bolingbroke? And then I stole all courtesy from heaven and dressed myself in such humility that I did pluck allegiance from men's hearts, loud shouts and salutations from their mouths, even in the presence of the crowned king. Thus did I keep my person fresh and new, my presence like a robe pontifical, ne'er seen, but wondered at, and so my state seldom but sumptuous showed like a feast, and won by rareness such solemnity. The skipping king, he ambled up and down, grew a companion to the common streets, and fiefed himself to popularity. That being daily swallowed by men's eyes, he was but as the cuckoo is in June, heard, not regarded, seen with such aspects as cloudy men use to their adversaries, being with his presence glutted, gorged, and full. And in that very line, Harry, standest thou. For thou hast lost thy princely privilege with vile participation. Not an eye but is aweary of thy common sight, save mine, which hath desired to see thee more, which now doth that I would not have it do, make blind itself with foolish tenderness.
I shall hereafter, my thrice gracious lord, be more myself.
For all the world. As thou art to this hour, was Richard then, when I from France set foot at Ravensper, and even as I was then, is PERCY now. Now by my sceptre and my soul to boot, he hath more worthy interest to the state than thou, the shadow of succession, for of no right nor colour like to right, he doth fill fields with harness in the realm, turns heads against the lion's armed jaws, and being no more in debt to years than thou, leads ancient lords and reverend bishops on to bloody battles and to bruising arms. Thrice hath this Hotspur, Mars in swaddling clothes, this infant warrior in his enterprises, discomfited great Douglas, ta'en him once, enlarged him and made a friend of him, to fill the mouth of deep defiance up and shake the peace and safety of our throne. And what say you to this? PERCY, Northumberland, the archbishops, Grace of York, Douglas, Mortimer, capitulate against us and are up. But wherefore do I tell this news to thee? Why, Harry, do I tell thee of my foes, which art my nearest and dearest enemy? Thou that art like enough, though vassal fear, base inclination, and the start of spleen, to fight against me under Percy's pay, to show how much thou art degenerate.
Do not think so. You shall not find it so, and heaven forgive them that so much have swayed your majesty's good thoughts away from me. I will redeem all this on Percy's head, and in the closing of some glorious day be bold to tell you that I am your son. When I will wear a garment all of blood and stain my favours in a bloody mask, which washed away shall scour my shame with it. And that shall be the day when ere it lights the gallant Hotspur, this all-praised knight, and your unthought of Harry chance to meet. For every honour sitting on his helm, would they were multitudes, and on my head my shames redoubled. For the time will come that I shall make this northern youth exchange his glorious deeds for my indignities. Percy is but my factor, good my lord, to engross up glorious deeds on my behalf, and I will call him to so strict account that he shall render every glory up, yea, even the slightest worship of this time, or I will tear the reckoning from his heart. This, in the name of God, I promise here, the which, if he be pleased, I shall perform. I do beseech your majesty may salve the long-grown wounds of my intemperance. If not, the end of life cancels all bans, and I will die 100,000 deaths ere I break the smallest parcel of this vow.
100,000 rebels die in this. Thou shalt have charge and sovereign trust herein. How now, good Blunt, thy looks are full of speed.
So hath the business that I come to speak of. Lord Mortimer of Scotland hath sent word that Douglas and the English rebels met the 11th of this month at Shrewsbury, and mighty and a fearful head they are, if promises be kept on every hand, as ever offered foul play in a state.
The Earl of Westmoreland set forth today, with him my son, Lord John of Lancaster, for this advertisement is 5 days old. On Wednesday next, Harry, you shall set forward. On Thursday, we ourselves will march. Our meeting is Bridgenorth, and Harry, you shall march through Gloucestershire, by which account our business valued. Some 12 days hence, our general forces at Bridgenorth shall meet. Our hands are full of business. Let away. Advantage feeds him fat while men delay.
Exeunt. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your 5-minute interval. You now have 5 minutes to refresh your drinks, refresh yourselves, and prepare for the second half. If you have any questions for myself, the production team, or our wonderful guest introducer, Eric Rasmussen, if you'd like to join me, we'd be happy to answer a couple of those as we progress through our interval. So please do let us know what questions you have, and we'll be happy to pass them along. Sarah, do we have new patrons to thank this week?
We do, yes.
Wonderful.
So huge thank you, as always, to our existing patrons. It just means so much to have your contributions, and we're so grateful for them. So a couple of new names to shout out this week. So we've got Nigel B, Dominic K, Stephanie, and Lucy AP. So huge thank you for your contributions. And as Rob said at the start of the show, we've got some lovely surprises coming your way very soon. So do watch out for those.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Sarah. If you're enjoying this show so far, please do remember to like this video and subscribe to the channel, remembering to hit the bell and select the option that makes you receive all notifications. I promise we won't overload you with them, but it is handy to help you find out more about the show that is coming up next. Please do also post your reactions on social media using the using the hashtag Show Must Go Online. Tag us at TSMG Online Live on Twitter or at the Show Must Go Online on Insta and Facebook. Thank you so very much. Sarah, do we have any questions coming in from our audience?
We do, yes. There was a couple of questions actually for Eric. I don't know if you're around. If you would like to join us, please pop your camera on.
Yes, are you around, Eric?
Yep.
Wonderful. Could you throw your camera on for us, mate? Oh, there we are. Wonderful. Hello there. Hello there. Oh, looking wonderful and relaxed now. Good.
Yes.
Good. We'd like to see it. We'd love to see it. Wonderful.
Well, the first question that a couple of people ask is, what are the books you've got behind you? Much fascination.
My wife and I have collected books for our adult lives by stealth rather than wealth. So we go to like Western Americana dealers who might have a Ben Jonson folio and don't actually know what it is. And so we buy that for $200. And I was mentioning to Rob that at this point in our dotage, we are thinking of building a private library and offering visiting fellowships to writers and scholars to come out and work and play. So how fun is that?
Sounds hugely exciting, mate. Yeah, that sounds incredible. What a treasure trove that you've got developing behind you. Amazing.
Awesome. I've got another question, Eric, which is, when do you think Hal decided he would be throwing off his tavern crew?
Ooh, excellent question, isn't it? Wow. I think when you get onto the battlefield and it becomes obvious that Falstaff doesn't care about his bag of ragamuffins, right? Food for powder, food for powder. And it was like, wait a minute, dude, I thought you cared about, that you were the force of life and cared about life. And there's this cynicism there that I think, you know, and the other thing I really wanted to mention is that Shakespeare does this hologram thing. I mean, as you may know, when you have a hologram with a picture of something and you break it, every shard has that little picture. So there are so many little moments in Henry IV where things like, you know, the stupid trick they play on Francis the drawer, right? The guy who draws beer, and they both call him at the same time and he doesn't know which way to go. It's dumb. But earlier in that scene, Hal says, I know them all by, you know, Tom, Dick, and Francis. Well, Tom, Dick, and Francis is not the idiom. It's Tom, Dick, and Harry. Everybody knows that. So, oh, Francis equals Harry. Oh, it's Harry being called by the court and being called to the tavern. Oh, I get it now. Wow, dude, you rock. So, you know, this is the kind of stuff that, you know, you do with Shakespeare and say, that was kind of a stupid scene. Oh no, it was me who was being stupid.
For me, it is that kind of onion metaphor, if you like, that there's just layers and layers and layers. And, you know, you can enjoy that our wonderful movement directors, Enrique Otonio and Yaret Dor, put together that idea of the kind of multi-camera and this frantic Francis pinging around based on the Arlecchino tradition in Commedia dell'arte. And if you just enjoy it on that level, that's legit, right? That's absolutely fine. But as you say, if you look at it from the art direction level and you can find that depth in it as well, that's extra rewarding. And for me, it is that wonderful thing where the more you seek, the more you find. And I find that to be true about Shakespeare throughout, you know, the work that I was doing before this, and especially during this process where we're doing new plays every week, you really start to see these things coming through. So thank you so much for sharing that, Eric. That was wonderful. Do we have any more questions, Sarah?
We do, yes. So, so we had a question about the Welsh. So it's sort of a kind of a two-part. So the first part was, were we tempted to cut it, as there's actually no text in the play itself? And where did the script come from?
We actually fought really hard to keep it. we knew that we had Rhiannon in our cast, and Rhiannon, though being Welsh, doesn't actually speak Welsh, which may come as a surprise to some of you. So we had to essentially look at what Glendower translates her as saying, and then take that, translate that back into Welsh so that then it could be spoken. It seems to me that Shakespeare must have had a Welsh actor in his ensemble who was just capable of kind of doing that extempore, as it were. Yeah, so we had a little bit of an investigative journalism job to do to find someone that could help us out with that. And a wonderful friend of mine, Fionn Jones, who I'm sure you can probably guess is Welsh, put us onto a wonderful lady who actually played that part in another production. And I believe, Sarah, you have her name and details to give her a thank you.
Yes, it's Glenwyn Haff Roberts. Apologies if I haven't said that entirely correctly. Yes, Glenwyn was brilliant, got in touch with us and had a beautiful translation of some of the bits in that scene that would bring that character to life, which was absolutely wonderful. So huge thank you for helping us with that. It's such a beautiful scene. And the song as well, I forgive me, I cannot remember the name. Rhiannon, I'm sure, will be able to tell us later. But it is, I think, a folk song, a traditional Welsh folk song.
Yes, stick around for the post-show discussion to
we will
find
let you know.
out. Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful. So that is our time for the interval, ladies and gentlemen. So Sarah, if you'd like to retire to the backstage area at this point. Thank you all so much for sticking with us. I hope that you enjoy the second half of Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1. Act 3, Scene 3. Eastcheap, the Boar's Head Tavern. Enter Falstaff and Bardolph.
Bardolph, am I not fallen away vilely since this last action? Do I not bate? Do I not dwindle? Why, my skin hangs about me like an old lady's loose gown. Well, I'll repent, and that suddenly, while I am in some liking, I shall be out of heart shortly, and then I shall have no strength to repent. Company, villainous company, hath been the spoil of me.
Sir John, you are so fretful you cannot live long.
Why, there it is. Come, sing me a bawdy song, make me merry. I was as virtuously given as a gentleman need be, virtuous enough. Swore little, diced not above 7 times a week, went to a bawdy house not above once in a quarter of an hour, paid money that I borrowed 3 or 4 times, lived well and in good compass, and now I live out of all order, out of all compass.
Why, you are so fat, Sir John, that you must needs be out of all compass. Out of all reasonable compass, Sir John.
Do thou amend thy face, and I'll amend my life. Thou art our admiral, thou bearest the lantern in the poop, but 'tis in the nose of thee. Thou art the knight of the burning lamp.
Why, Sir John, my face does no harm to you.
I never see thy face, but I think upon hell fire. How now, Dame Partlet the hen, have you inquired yet who picked my pocket?
Why, Sir John, what do you think, Sir John? Do you think I keep thieves in my house? I have searched. I have inquired. So has my husband, man by man, boy by boy, servant by servant. The tithe of a hair was never lost in my house before.
Ye lie, mistress. Bardolph was shaved and lost many a hair, and I'll be sworn my pocket was picked. Go to, you are a woman. Go.
Oh, I defy thee, God's light. I was never called so in mine own house before.
Go to, I know you well enough.
No, Sir John, you do not know me, Sir John. I know you, Sir John. You owe me money, Sir John. And now you pick a quarrel with me to beguile me of it for your diet and your by-drinkings, with the money lent you, £4 and £20.
He had his part of it, let him pay.
Alas, he's poor, he has nothing.
How? Poor? Look upon his face. What call you rich? Let them coin his nose, let them coin his cheeks. I'll not pay a denier. What, will you make a yonker of me? Shall I not take mine ease in mine inn, but I shall have my pocket picked? I have lost a seal ring of my grandfather's worth 40 mark.
Oh, Jesu, I've heard the prince tell him I know not how oft that ring was copper.
How? The prince is a jack, a sneak-up, blood. And he were here, I would cudgel him like a dog if he says so. Oh, now, lad. Oh, must we all march?
What sayst thou, Jack?
The other night, I fell asleep here behind the arras and had my pocket picked. This house is turned bawdy house. They pick pockets.
What did thou loose, Jack?
Will thou believe me, Hal? 3 or 4 bonds of £40 apiece and a seal ring of my grandfather's.
A trifle, some 8-penny matter.
So I told him, my lord, and I said, I heard your grace say so, and my lord. He speaks most vilely of you, like a foul-mouthed man as he is, and he said he'd cudgel you.
What? He did not.
There's neither faith, truth, nor womanhood in me, else.
There's no more faith in thee than a stewed prune, nor no more truth in thee than in a drawn fox. And for womanhood, Maid Marian may be the deputy's wife of the ward to thee. Go to, you thing, go.
Say what thing?
What thing? Why, a thing to thank heaven on.
I am no thing to thank heaven on, and would thou should know it. I am an honest man's wife, and setting thy knighthood aside, thou art a knave to call me so.
Setting thy womanhood aside, thou art a beast to say otherwise.
Say what beast, thou knave, thou?
What beast? Why, an otter.
An otter, Sir John? Why an otter?
Why? She is neither fish nor flesh. A man knows not where to have her.
Thou art an unjust man in saying so. Thou or any man knows where to have me, thou knave, thou.
Thou sayst true, hostess, and he slanders thee most grossly.
So he doth you, my lord, and he said this other day you owed him £1,000.
Sirrah, do I owe you £1,000?
£1,000, pal. 1,000,000. Thy love is worth 1,000,000. Thou owest me thy love.
Nay, my lord, he called you Jack, and he said he'd cudgel you.
Did I, Bardolph?
Indeed, Sir John, you said so.
Yea, if he said my ring was copper.
Say 'tis copper. Darest thou be good to this? Darest thou be as good to thy word now?
Why, how thou knowest as thou art but man, I dare. But as thou art prince, I fear thee as I fear the roaring of the lion's whelp.
And why not as the lion?
The king himself is to be feared as the lion. Dost thou think I'll fear thee as I fear thy father? Nay, and I do. I pray God my girdle break.
Oh, if it should, how would thy guts fall about thy knees? But Sirrah, there's no room for faith, truth, nor honesty in this bosom of thine. It is all filled up with guts and midriff. Charge an honest woman with picking thy pocket. Why, thou whoreson, impudent, embossed rascal, if there were anything in thy pocket but tavern reckonings, memorandums of bawdy houses, and 1 poor pennyworth of sugar candy to make thee long-winded, if thy pocket were enriched with any injuries but these, I am a villain. Art thou not ashamed?
Dost thou hear, Hal? Thou knowest, in the state of innocency Adam fell, and what should poor Jack Falstaff do in the days of villainy? Thou seest I have more flesh than another man, and therefore more frailty. You confess, then, you picked my pocket.
It appears so by the story.
Hostess, I forgive thee. Go, make ready breakfast. Love thy husband, look to the servants, cherish thy guests. Thou shalt find me tractable to any honest reason. Thou seest I am pacified still. Nay, prithee, be gone. Now, Hal, to the news at court for the robbery, lad. How is that answered?
Oh, my sweet beef, I must still be good angel to thee. The money is paid back again.
Oh, I do not like that paying back. 'Tis a double labour.
I'm good friends with my father and may do anything.
Rob me the exchequer the first thing thou dost, and do it with unwashed hands too.
You, my lord.
I have procured thee, Jack, a charge of foot,
Would it have been of horse?
Bardolph,
My lord.
go, bear this letter to Lord John of Lancaster. To my brother John, this to my Lord of Westmoreland. Go, Peter, to horse, for thou and I have 30 miles to ride yet ere dinner time. Jack, meet me tomorrow in the Temple Hall at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. There shalt thou know thy charge, and there receive money and order for their furniture. The land is burning. Percy stands on high, and either we or they must lower lie.
Rare words. Brave world. Hostess, my breakfast, come. Oh, I could wish this tavern were my drum.
Exeunt. Act 4, Scene 1, the rebel camp near Shrewsbury. Enter Hotspur, Worcester, and Douglas.
Well said, my noble Scot. By God, I cannot flatter. I do defy the tongues of soothers, but by a braver place in my heart's love hath no man than yourself. Nay, task me to my word. Approve me, Lord.
Thou art the king of honour. No man so potent breathes upon the ground, but I will beard him.
Do so, and 'tis well. What letters hast thou there? I can but thank you.
These letters come from your father.
Letters from him? Why comes he not himself?
He cannot come, my lord. He is grievous sick.
Zoons, how has he the leisure to be sick in such a justling time? Who leads his power? Under whose government come they along?
His letters bear his mind, not I, my lord.
I prithee tell me, doth he keep his bed?
He did, my lord. 4 days ere I set forth, and at the time of my departure thence he was much feared by his physicians.
I would the state of time had first been whole ere he by sickness had been visited. His health was never better worth than now.
Sick now? Droop now? This sickness doth infect the very lifeblood of our enterprise. 'Tis catching hither even to our camp, yet doth he give us bold advertisement that with our small conjunction we should on, to see how fortune is disposed to us. For, as he writes, there is no quailing now, because the king is certainly possessed of all our purposes. What say you to it?
Your father's sickness is a maim to us.
Oh, perilous gash, a very limb lopped off. And yet, in faith, it is not. His present want seems more than we shall find it. Were it good to set the exact wealth of all our states all at one cast, to set so rich a man on the nice hazard of one doubtful hour?
A comfort of retirement lives in this.
But yet I would your father had been here. The quality and hair of our attempt brooks no division. It will be thought by some that know not why he is away, that wisdom, loyalty, and mere dislike of our proceedings kept the Earl from hence. And think how such an apprehension may turn the tide of fearful faction and breed a kind of question in our cause. This absence of your father's draws a curtain that shows the ignorant a kind of fear before not dreamt of.
You strain too far. I rather of his absence make this use. It lends a lustre and a more great opinion, a larger dare to our great enterprise than if the Earl were here. For men must think, if we without his help can make a head to push against a kingdom with his help, we shall o'erturn it topsy-turvy down. Yet all goes well, yet all our joints are whole.
As heart can think, there is not such a word spoke of in Scotland as this dream of fear.
My cousin Vernon, welcome by my soul.
Pray God my news be worth a welcome, Lord. The Earl of Westmoreland, 7,000 strong, is marching hitherwards. With him, Prince John.
No harm, what more?
And further, I have learned the king himself in person is set forth, or hitherwards intended speedily, with strong and mighty preparation.
He shall be welcome too. Where is his son, the nimble-footed madcap, Prince of Wales, and his comrades that daft the world aside and bade it pass?
All furnished, all in arms, all plumed like ostriches that with the wind baited like eagles having lately bathed. glittering in golden coats like images, as full of spirit as the month of May, and gorgeous as the sun at midsummer. Wanton as youthful goats, wild as young bulls, I saw young Harry with his beaver on, his curses on his thighs gallantly armed, rise from the ground with feathered Mercury, and vaulted with such ease into his seat as if an angel dropped down from the clouds to turn and wind a fiery Pegasus, and witch the world with noble horsemanship.
No more, no more. Worse than the sun in March, this praise doth nourish agues. Let them come. They come like sacrifices in their trim, and to the fiery-eyed maid of smoky war, all hot and bleeding, we will offer them. The mailed Mars shall on his altar sit up to the ears in blood. I am on fire to hear this rich reprisal is so nigh, and yet not ours. Come, let me to my horse, who is to bear me like a thunderbolt against the bosom of the Prince of Wales. Harry to Harry shall, hot horse to horse, meet and ne'er part till one drop down a corpse. Oh, that Glendower were come!
There is more news. I learned in Worcester as I rode along, he cannot draw his power this 14 days.
That's the worst tidings that I hear of yet.
Aye, by my faith, that bears a frosty sound.
What may the king's whole battle reach unto?
To 30,000.
40, let it be. Come, let us take a muster speedily. Doomsday is near. Die all, die merrily.
Exeunt. Act 4, Scene 2, a public road near Coventry. Enter Falstaff, Bardolph.
Bardolph, get thee before to Coventry. Fill me a bottle of sack. Our soldiers shall march through Will to Sutton Coldfield tonight.
Will you give me money, Captain?
Lay out, lay out.
This bottle makes me an angel.
I'll answer the coinage. Bid my Lieutenant Pito meet me at the town's end.
I will, Captain. Farewell.
If I be not ashamed of my soldiers, I am a soused gurnet. I have misused the king's press damnably. I have got an exchange of 150 soldiers, 300 and odd pounds. I press me none but such toasts and butter, with hearts in their bellies no bigger than pins' heads, and they have bought out their services. And now my whole charge consists of ancients, corporals, lieutenants, gentlemen of companies, and as such were never soldiers, but discarded unjust servingmen. Younger sons to younger brothers, revolted tapsters and ostlers, trade fallen, the cankers of a calm world and a long peace. 10 times more dishonourable, ragged than an old-faced ancient to fill up the rooms of them as have brought out their services. A mad fellow met me on the way and told me I had unloaded all the gibbets and pressed the dead bodies. No eye hath seen such scarecrows. I'll not march through Coventry with them, that's flat. Nay, and the villains march wide betwixt the legs as if they had gyves on, for indeed I had most of them out of prison. There's not a shirt and a half in all my company, and the half shirts is 2 napkins tacked together and thrown over the shoulders like a herald's coat without sleeves. Oh, but that's all one. They'll find linen enough on every hedge.
How now, blown Jack? How now, Quilt?
How now, how now, mad wag? What a devil dost thou in Warwickshire? Oh, my good Lord Westmoreland, I cry you mercy. I thought your honour had already been at Shrewsbury.
Faith, Sir John, 'tis more than time that I was there, and you too, but my powers are there already. The king, I can tell you, looks for us all. We must away all night.
Tut, never fear me, I am as vigilant as a cat to steal cream.
I think to steal cream indeed, for thy theft had already made thee butter. But tell me, Jack, whose fellows are these that come after?
Mine, Hal, mine.
I did never see such pitiful rascals.
Tut, tut, good enough to toss. Food for powder, food for powder. They'll fill a pit as well as better. Tush, man. Mortal men. Mortal men.
Aye, but Sir John, methinks they are exceeding poor and bare, too beggarly.
Faith, for their poverty, I know not where they had that, and for their bareness, I am sure they never learnt that of me.
No, I'll be sworn. Unless you call 3 fingers in the ribs bare. But sirrah, make haste. Percy is already in the field.
What, is the king encamped?
He is, Sir John. I fear we shall stay too long.
Well, to the latter end of a fray and the beginning of a feast, fits a dull fighter and a keen guest.
Exeunt. Act 4, Scene 3. The rebel camp near Shrewsbury. Enter Hotspur, Worcester, Douglas, Vernon.
We'll fight with him tonight.
It may not be.
You give him then advantage.
Not a whit.
Good cousin, be advised. Stir not tonight.
Do not, my lord.
You do not counsel well. You speak it out of fear and cold heart.
Do me no slander, Douglas. By my life, and I dare well maintain it with my life, if well-respected honour bid me on, I hold as little counsel with weak fear as you, my lord, or any Scot that this day lives. Let it be seen tomorrow in the battle which of us fears.
Yea, or tonight.
Content.
Tonight, say I.
Come, come. It may not be. I wonder much, being men of such great leading as you are, that you foresee not what impediments drag back our expedition. Certain horse of my cousin Vernon's are not yet come up. Your uncle Worcester's horses came but today, and now their pride and mettle is asleep, their courage with hard labour tame and dull, though not a horse is half the half of himself.
So are the horses of the enemy in general journey baited and brought low. The better part of ours are full of rest.
The number of the king exceedeth ours. For God's sake, cousin, stay till all come in.
I come with gracious offers from the king, if you vouchsafe me hearing and respect.
Welcome, Sir Walter Blunt, and would to God you were of our determination. Some of us love you well, and even though some envy your great deservings and good name, because you are not of our quality, but stand against us like an enemy.
And God defend, but still I should stand so long as out of limit and true rule you stand against anointed majesty. But to my charge. The king hath sent to know the nature of your griefs, and whereupon you conjure from the breast of civil peace such bold hostility, teaching his duteous land audacious cruelty. If that the king have any way your good deserts forgot, which he confessed to be manifold, he bids you name your griefs, and with all speed you shall have your desires with interest and pardon absolute for yourself and these herein misled by your suggestion.
Kind, and well we know the king knows at what time to promise, when to pay. My father, my uncle, and myself did give him that same royalty he wears, and when he was not 26 strong, sick in the world's regard, wretched and low, a poor unminded outlaw sneaking home, my father gave him welcome to the shore. And when he heard him swear a vow to God, he came but to be the Duke of Lancaster. My father, in kind heart and pity moved, swore him assistance and performed it too. Now when the lords and barons of the realm perceived Northumberland did lean to him, the more and less came in with cap and knee. He presently, as greatness knows itself, steps me a little higher than his vow, and now forsooth takes on him to reform some certain edicts and some straight decrees that lie too heavy on the Commonwealth, cries out upon abuses, seems to weep over his country's wrongs, and by this face, this seeming brow of justice, did he win the hearts of all that he did angle for.
Tut, I came not to hear this.
Then to the point. In short time after, he deposed the king. Soon after that, deprived him of his life. And in the neck of that, tasked the whole state. To make that worse, suffered his kinsman March, who is if every owner were well placed, indeed his king, to be engaged in Wales, there without ransom to lie forfeited. disgraced me in my happy victories, sought to entrap me by intelligence, rated my own uncle from the council board, enraged, dismissed my father from the court, broke oath on oath, committed wrong on wrong, and in conclusion drove us to seek out this head of safety, and withal to pry into his title, the which we find too indirect for long continuance.
Shall I return this answer to the king?
Not so. Sir Walter, we'll withdraw a while, and in the morning early shall mine uncle bring him our purposes. And so farewell.
I would you would accept of grace and love.
And maybe so we shall.
Pray God you do.
Exeunt. Act 4, Scene 4, York, the Archbishop's Palace. Enter Archbishop of York, Sir Michael.
Aye, good Sir Michael. Bear these sealed briefs to whom they are directed. If you knew how much they do import, you would make haste.
My good lord, I guess they're tenor.
Like enough you do. Tomorrow, good Sir Michael, is a day wherein the fortune of 10,000 men must abide the touch. For, sir, at Shrewsbury, as I am truly given to understand, the king, with mighty and quick-raised power, meets with Lord Harry, and I fear, Sir Michael, what with the sickness of Northumberland, and what with Owen Glendower's absence thence, who with them was rated firmly to, and comes not in, ruled by prophecies, I fear the power of PERCY is too weak to wage an instant trial with the king.
Why, my good lord, you need not fear. There is Douglas. And Lord Mortimer?
No, Lord Mortimer is not there.
But there is Mordake, Vernon, Lord Harry Percy, and there is my Lord of Worcester, and a head of gallant warriors, noble gentlemen.
So there is. But yet the king hath drawn the special head of all the land together.
Doubt not, my lord. They shall be well opposed.
I hope no less. Yet needful 'tis to fear, and to prevent the worst, Sir Michael, speed. For if Lord Percy thrive not, ere the king dismiss his power, he means to visit us, for he hath heard of our confederacy, and 'tis but wisdom to make strong against him. Therefore make haste, I must go right again to other friends. And so farewell, Sir Michael.
Act 5, Scene 1, King Henry IV's camp near Shrewsbury. Enter the King, Prince of Wales, Lord John of Lancaster, Sir Walter Blunt, Falstaff.
How bloodily the sun begins to peer above yon bushy hill. The day looks pale at his distemperature.
The southern wind doth play the trumpet to his purposes, and by his hollow whistling in the leaves foretells a tempest and a blustering day.
Then with the losers let it sympathize, for nothing can seem foul to those that win. How now, my Lord of Worcester? 'Tis not well that you and I should meet upon such terms as now we meet. You have deceived our trust, and made us doff our easy robes of peace to crush our old limbs in ungentle steel. This is not well, my lord. This is not well. What say you to it? Will you again unknit this churlish knot of all abhorred war?
Hear me, my liege. For mine own part, I could be well content to entertain the lag end of my life with quiet hours. For I protest I have not sought the day of this dislike.
You have not sought it. How comes it then?
Rebellion lay in his way and he found it.
Peace, Jewett, peace.
It pleased your majesty to turn your looks of favour from myself and all our house. And yet I must remember you, my lord, we were the first and dearest of your friends. It was myself, my brother, and his son that brought you home and boldly did outdare the dangers of the time. You swore to us, and you did swear that oath at Doncaster that you did nothing purpose against the state, nor claim no further than your new fallen right, the seat of Gaunt, dukedom of Lancaster. To this we swore our aid. But in short space, you took occasion to be quickly wooed to gripe the general sway into your hand. forgot your oath to us at Doncaster, and being fed by us, you used us so as that ungentle gull the cuckoo's bird useth the sparrow. Did oppress our nest, grew by our feeding to so great a bulk that even our love durst not come near your sight for fear of swallowing. But with nimble wing we were enforced for safety's sake to fly out of your sight and raise this present head, whereby we stand opposed by such means as you yourself have forged against yourself.
In both our armies there is many a soul shall pay full dearly for this encounter, if once they join in trial. Tell your nephew, the Prince of Wales, doth join with all the world in praise of Henry Percy. By my hopes, this present enterprise set off his head. I do not think a braver gentleman, more active, valiant, or more valiant young, more daring, or more bold, is now alive to grace this latter age with noble deeds. For my part, I may speak it to my shame. I have a truant been to chivalry, and so I hear he doth account me too. Yet this, before my father's majesty, I am content that he shall take the odds of his great name and estimation, and will, to save the blood on either side, try fortune with him in a single fight.
And Prince of Wales, so dare we venture thee, albeit considerations infinite do make against it, no. Good Worcester, no. We love our people well, even those we love that are misled upon your cousin's part, and will they take the offer of our grace, both he and they and you, yea, every man shall be my friend again, and I'll be his. So tell your cousin, and bring me word what he will do, but if he will not yield, rebuke and dread correction wait on us, and they shall do their office. So be gone.
My lord,
We will not now be troubled with reply. We offer fair. Take it advisedly.
It will not be accepted on my life. The Douglas and the Hotspur both together are confident against the world in arms.
How?
Hence, therefore, every leader to his charge. For on their answer will we set on them, and God befriend us, as our cause is just.
How? If thou see me down in the battle, and bestride me, so, 'tis a point of friendship.
Nothing but a colossus can do thee that friendship. Say thy prayers, and farewell.
I would for bedtime, Hal, and all well.
Why, thou owest God a death.
'Tis not due yet. I'll be loath to pay him before his day. What need I be so forward with him that calls not on me? Well, 'tis no matter. Honour pricks me on, yea. But how if honour prick me off when I come on? How then? Can honour set to a leg? No. Or an arm? No. Or take away the grief of a wound? No. Honour hath no skill in surgery then? No. What is honour? A word. What is in that word, honour? What is honour? Air. A trim reckoning. Who hath it? He that died a Wednesday. Doth he feel it? No. Doth he hear it? No. 'Tis insensible then, yea, to the dead, but will not live with the living. No. Why? Detraction will not suffer it. Therefore, I'll none of it.
Exit. Act 5, Scene 2, The Rebel Camp. Enter Worcester, Sir Richard Vernon.
oh no, My nephew must not know, Sir Richard, the liberal and kind offer of the king.
'Twere best he did.
Then all we are undone. It is not possible, it cannot be the king should keep his word in loving us. My nephew's trespass may be well forgot. It had the excuse of youth and heat of blood, and an adopted name of privilege, a hair-brained HOTSPUR governed by a spleen. All his offences live upon my head and on his father's. We did train him on, and his corruption being tamed from us, we as the spring of all shall pay for all. Therefore, good cousin, let not Harry know in any case the offer of the king.
Deliver what you will. I'll say 'tis so. Here comes your cousin.
My uncle is returned. Deliver up, my lord of Westmoreland. Uncle, what news?
The king will bid you battle presently.
Defy him by the Lord of Westmoreland.
Lord Douglas, go you and tell him so.
Marry, and shall, and very willingly.
There is no seeming mercy in the king.
Did you beg any? God forbid.
Oh, I told him gently of our grievances, of his oath breaking, which he mended thus, by now forswearing that he is forsworn. He calls us rebels, traitors, and will scourge with haughty arms this hateful name in us.
Arm, gentlemen, to arms, for I have thrown a brave defiance in King Henry's teeth, and Westmoreland that was engaged did bear it, which cannot choose but bring him quickly on.
The Prince of Wales stepped forth before the king and nephew, challenged you to a single fight.
Oh, would the quarrel lay upon our heads, and that no man might draw short breath today, but I and Harry Monmouth. Tell me, how short is talking? Seemed he in contempt?
No, by my soul, I never in my life did hear a challenge urged more modestly. He gave you all the duties of a man, trimmed up your praises with a princely tongue, spoke your deservings like a chronicle, making you ever better than his praise by still dispraising praise valued with you, and which became him like a prince indeed. He made a blushing title of himself and chid his truant youth with such a grace as if he mastered there a double spirit of teaching and learning instantly. There did he pause. But let me tell the world, if ye outlive the envy of this day, England did never owe so sweet a hope, so much misconstrued in his wantonness.
Cousin, I think thou art enamoured on his follies. Never did I hear of any prince so wild a liberty. But be he as he will, yet ere once this night, I will embrace him with a soldier's arm, that he shall shrink under my courtesy. Arm with speed, and fellow soldiers, friends, better consider what you have to do than I, that have not well the gift of tongue, can lift your blood up in persuasion.
My lord, here are letters for you.
I cannot read them now. Oh, gentlemen, the time of life is short, and if we live to tread on kings. If die, brave death, and princes die with us. Now for our consciences, the arms are fair when the intent of bearing them is just.
My lord, prepare, the king comes on apace.
I thank him that he cuts me from my tale, for I profess not talking, only this. Let each man do his best, and here draw I a sword, whose temper I intend to stain with the best blood that I can meet withal in the adventure of this perilous day. Now, Esperance PERCY, and set on! Sound all the lofty instruments of war, and by that music let us all now embrace. For heaven to earth, some of us never shall a second time do such a courtesy.
Exeunt. Act 5, Scene 3, the plain between the camps. The king enters with his power and passes over, Then enter Douglas and Sir Walter Blunt, dressed like the king.
What is thy name that in battle dost thou crossest me? What honour dost thou seek upon my head?
Know then, my name is Douglas, and I do haunt thee in the battle thus, because some tell me that thou art a king.
They tell thee true.
The Lord of Stafford dear today hath bought thy likeness, for instead of thee, King Harry, this staff hath ended him. So shall it be, unless thou yield thee as my prisoner.
I was not born to yield, thou haughty Scot, and thou shalt find a king that will revenge Lord Stafford's death.
Ah!
Douglas, had thou fought at Holmdon thus, I never had triumphed o'er a Scot.
All's done, all's won. Here breathless lies the king.
Where?
Here.
This, Douglas? No, I know this face full well. A gallant knight he was, his name was Blunt, semblably furnished like the king himself.
A fool go with thy soul whither it goes. A borrowed title hast thou bought too dear. Why didst thou tell me that thou wert a king?
The king hath many marching in his coats.
Now, by my staff, I will kill all his coats. I'll murder all his wardrobe piece by piece until I meet the king.
Up and away! Our soldiers stand full fairly for the day.
Though I could escape shot free at London, I fear the shot here. Here's no scoring but upon the pate. Soft! Who are you? Sir Walter Blunt. There's honour for you. Here's no vanity. I am as hot as molten lead, and as heavy too. God, keep lead out of me. I need no more weight than mine own bowels. I have led my ragamuffins where they are peppered. There's not 3 of my 150 left alive, and they are for the town's end to beg during life. But who comes here?
What? Standst thou idle there? Lend me thy sword. Many a nobleman lies stark and stiff under the hoofs of vaunting enemies whose deaths are yet unrevenged. I prithee, lend me thy sword.
Oh, Hal, I prithee, give me leave to breathe a while. Pope Gregory never did such deeds in arms as I have done this day. I have paid Percy. I have made him sure.
He is indeed, and living to kill thee. I prithee, lend me thy sword.
Nay, before God, Hal, if Percy be alive, thou getst not my sword, but take my pistol, if thou wilt.
Give it me. What? Is it in the case?
Aye, Hal, 'tis hot, 'tis hot. There's that will sack a city.
What? Is it time to jest and dally now?
Well, if Percy be alive, I'll pierce him. If you do come in my way, so, and if you do not, if I come in his way, willingly, let him make a carbonado of me. I like not such grinning honour as Sir Walter hath. Give me life, which if I can save, so, if not, honour comes unlooked for. And there's an end.
Exit. Act 5, Scene 4, another part of the field. Enter the King, the Prince wounded, Lord John of Lancaster, Earl of Westmoreland.
I prithee, Harry, withdraw thyself. Thou bleeds too much. Lord John of Lancaster, go you with him.
Not I, my lord, unless I did bleed too.
I beseech your majesty, make up, lest your retirement do amaze your friends.
I will do so. My lord of Westmoreland, lead him to his tent.
Come, my lord, I will lead you to your tent.
Lead me, my lord. I do not need your help, and God forbid a shallow scratch should drive the Prince of Wales from such a field as this, where stained nobility lies trodden on and the rebels' arms triumphed in massacres.
We breathe too long. Come, cousin Westmoreland, come! Or do ye be sway lies? For God's sake, come!
By God, thou hast deceived me, Lancaster. I did not think thee lord of such a spirit before. I loved thee as a brother, John, but now I do respect thee as my soul.
I saw him hold Lord Percy at the point, with lustier maintenance than I did look for of such an ungrown warrior.
Oh, this boy lends mettle to us all.
Another king! They grow like Hydra's heads. I am the Douglas, fatal to all those that wear those colours on them. What art thou that counterfeits the person of a king?
The king himself, who Douglas grieves at heart, so many of his shadows thou hast met, and not the very king. I have 2 boys, seek Percy and thyself about the fields, but seest thou fallest on me, so luckily I will essay thee, so defend thyself.
I fear thou art another counterfeit, and yet in faith thou bearest thee like a king. But mine I am sure whoe'er thou be, and thus I win thee.
Hold up thy head, vile Scot, or thou art like to never hold it up again. The spirits of valiant Shirley, Stafford, Blunt are in my arms. It is the Prince of Wales that threatens thee, who never promiseth, but he means to pay.
Stay and breathe a while. Thou hast redeemed thy lost opinion, and showed thou makest some tender of my life. In this fair rescue thou hast brought to me.
Oh God, they did me too much injury that ever I said I hearkened for your death.
Make up to Clifton. I'll to Sir Nicholas Gorsey.
If I mistake not, thou art Harry Monmouth.
Thou speakst as if I would deny my name.
My name is Harry Percy.
Why then I see a very valiant rebel of that name. I am the Prince of Wales, and think not Percy to share with me in the glory any more. 2 stars keep not their motion in one sphere, nor can one England brook a double reign of Harry Percy and the Prince of Wales.
Nor shall it, Harry, for the hour is come to end the one of us, and would to heaven thy name in arms were nigh as great as mine.
I'll make it ere greater I part from thee, and all the budding honours of thy crest I'll crop to make a garland for my head.
I can no longer brook thy vanities.
Oh, well said, Hal. You do it, Hal. No. You used to find no voice right here, I can tell you.
Oh, Harry, thou hast robbed me of my youth. I better brook the loss of brittle life than those proud titles thou hast won of me. They wound my thoughts worse than thy sword my flesh. But thoughts, the slaves of life, and life, time's full, and time, that takes survey of all the world, must have a stop. Oh, I could prophesy, but that the earthy and cold hand of death lies on my tongue. No, Percy, thou art dust, and food for
worms, brave Percy. Fare thee well, great heart. Ill-weaved ambition, how much art thou shrunk? When that this body did contain a spirit, a kingdom for it was too small a bound, but now 2 paces of the vilest earth is room enough. This earth that bears thee dead bears not alive so stout a gentleman. Adieu, and take thy praise with thee to heaven. Thy ignominy sleep with thee in the grave, but not remembered in thy epitaph. What? Old acquaintance? Could not all this flesh keep in a little life? Poor Jack, farewell. I could have better spared a better man. Oh, I should have heavy miss of thee, if I were so much in love with vanity. Death hath not struck so fat a deer today, though many dearer in this bloody fray. Embowed will I see thee by and by, till then in blood by noble Percy lie.
Embowled? If thou embowl me today, I'll give you leave to powder me and eat me too tomorrow. Splud! Was time to counterfeit. Or that hot termagant Scot had paid me Scot and lot too. Counterfeit? I lie. I am no counterfeit. To die is to be a counterfeit, for he is but the counterfeit of a man who hath not the life of a man. But to counterfeit dying when a man thereby liveth is to be no counterfeit, but the true and perfect image of life indeed. The better part of valor is discretion, in the which better part I have saved my life. Zooms! I'm afraid of this gunpowder Percy, though he be dead. How if he should counterfeit too, and rise? By my faith, I'm afraid he would prove the better counterfeit. Therefore, I'll make him sure, yea, and I'll swear I killed him. Why may not he rise as well as I? Nothing confutes me but eyes, and nobody sees me. Therefore, sit with a new wound in your thigh. Come you along with me.
Come, Brother John. How bravely hast thou fleshed thy maiden sword.
But Soft, whom have we here? Did you not tell me this fat man was dead?
I did. I saw him dead, breathless and bleeding on the ground. Art thou alive? Or is it the fantasy that plays upon our eyesight? I prithee, speak. We will not trust our eyes without our ears. Thou art not what thou seemst.
No, that's certain. I am not a double man. But if I be not Jack Falstaff, then I am a Jack. There is Percy. If your father will do me any honour, so if not, let him kill the next Percy himself. I look to be either Earl or Duke, I can assure you.
Why, Percy, I killed myself and saw thee dead.
Didst thou? Lord, Lord, how this world is given to lying. I grant you, I was down and out of breath, and so was he. But we rose both in an instant and fought a long hour by Shrewsbury clock. I'll take it upon my death. I gave him this wound in the thigh. If the man were alive and would deny it, soon I would make him eat a piece of my sword.
His is the strangest tale ever I heard.
This is the strangest fellow, Brother John. Come, bring your luggage nobly on your back. For my part, if a lie may do thee grace, I'll gild it with the happiest terms I have. Oh, the trumpet sounds retreat. The day is ours. Come, brother, let us to the highest of the field to see what friends are living who are dead.
I'll follow, as they say, for reward. He that rewards me, God reward him. If I do grow great, I'll grow less, for I'll purge and leave sack and live cleanly as any nobleman should do.
Exit. Act 5, Scene 5, another part of the field. Enter the King, Prince of Wales, Lord John of Lancaster, Earl of Westmoreland, with Worcester and Vernon as prisoners.
Thus did rebellion ever find rebuke. Ill-spirited Worcester, did not we send grace, pardon, and terms of love to all of you? And wouldst thou turn our offers to contrary? Misuse the tenor of thy kinsman's trust. 3 knights upon our party slain today, a noble earl, and many a creature else had been alive this hour. If like a Christian thou hast truly borne betwixt our armies true intelligence.
What I have done, my safety urged me to, and I embrace this fortune patiently, since not to be avoided, it falls on me.
Bear Worcester to the death, and Vernon too. Other offenders we will pause upon. How goes the field?
The noble Scot, Lord Douglas, when he saw the fortune of the day, quite turned from him. The noble Percy slain, and all his men upon the foot of fear, fled with the rest. And falling from a hill, he was so bruised that the pursuers took him. At my tent, the Douglas is, and I beseech your grace, I may dispose of him.
With all my heart.
Then, Brother John of Lancaster, to you this honourable bounty shall belong. Go to the Douglas and deliver him up to his pleasure, ransomless and free. His valours shown upon our crest today have taught us how to cherish such high deeds, even in the bosom of our adversaries.
I thank your grace for this high courtesy, which I shall give away immediately.
Then this remains, that we divide our power. You, son John, and my cousin Westmoreland towards York shall bend you with our dearest speed to meet Northumberland and the prelate Scroop, who, as we hear, are busily in arms. Myself and you, son Harry, will towards Wales to fight with Glendower and the Earl of March. Rebellion in this land shall lose his sway, meeting the check of such another day. And since this business so fair is done, let us not leave till all our own be won.
Exeunt. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you so much for that. Well done on what perhaps has been the sweatiest show that Show Must Go Online has ever produced. Incredible work. Please throw your cameras on, join me over here, and give yourselves a massive round of applause for that tremendous effort. Well done, everyone. Truly extraordinary. I had a wonderful time. A wonderful time. I'm sure our audience did too. The applause emojis are flooding in right now. It'll probably be a couple of minutes before we get through those, but do remember, if you can, to send us your questions for the cast, the crew, and the creatives. That would be most wonderful. We'd be delighted to answer them. And now, allow me to introduce your cast and crew for this evening, starting as always with the incredible Sarah Peachy.
Hi everyone, I'm Sarah. I'm an innovation project manager and actor based in Glasgow.
With thanks to our stage manager and master of props, Emily Ingram, who today couldn't be with us. On music and sound, Adam Woodhams. Adam! I think he's gone to get a pint. Wonderful. Have we got him? Okay, fabulous. Excellent. With thanks to Enrique Ortuño and Yarit Dor for providing movement, comedy, and fights. Enrique, say hello.
Hello, everyone. My name is Enrique Ortuño. I'm a Spanish fight and movement director based in London.
Ah, such great work, man. Love it, love it, love it. And our cast for tonight, put together by the incredible casting director, Sydney Aldridge. They've put on an incredible show for you tonight. They have sweated their body weights by the look of it. Introducing first as Henry Percy, Mark Laverty.
Hello, I'm Mark Laverty. I'm an actor, singer and musician based in London.
Wonderful. As Hal, Seb Yates-Cridland.
Hello everyone, I'm Seb Yates-Cridland. I'm an actor musician based in London.
As Henry IV, Andy McLeod.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy McLeod. I'm an actor based in London.
As Thomas Percy, Earl of Worcester, Gillian Barmes.
Hello everyone, I'm an amateur actor originally from Dublin, based in Geneva, Switzerland.
As Sir John Falstaff, Jack Baldwin.
Hello, I'm Jack Baldwin. I'm based near Watford, just outside of London.
Wonderful. Owen Glendower, Leo Atkin.
Hi, I'm Leo. I'm an actor and I'm based in rural Lancashire.
As Sir Richard Vernon, Shakuntala Ramanee.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm Sakuntala Ramanee and I'm an actor based in London.
As Edmund Mortimer, Earl of March, Naila Mansour.
Hi, everyone. I'm based in London and I'm an actor and writer.
Wonderful. As Lady Percy, Natalie Ann Boyd.
Hi, I'm Natalie Ann Boyd and I'm an actor writer based in London.
As Archibald, Earl of Douglas, Julie Martis.
Hi, I'm Julie and I'm an actor based in Glasgow.
As Sir Walter Blunt, Callum Lloyd.
Oh, hi everyone, I'm Callum Lloyd. I'm an actor and writer based in Cardiff.
As the Earl of Westmoreland, Shamiso Mushambi.
Hello, I'm Shamiso Mushambi. I'm an actor and comedy writer based in London.
As Ned POINS, Duncan Hess.
Hello, I'm Duncan Hess. I'm an actor and television director from Watford.
As Henry Percy, Earl of Northumberland, Simon Balkan.
Hello, I'm Simon Balkan. I'm an actor and producer based in South East London.
As Richard Scroop, Archbishop of York, and of course Francis Henry Jenkinson.
Hi, I'm Henry and I am an actor based between London and New York.
As Bardolph, Daniel Cordova.
Hello, I'm Daniel Cordova. I'm an amateur actor and I'm based in Costa Mesa, California.
And our ensemble this evening, starting of course with Rhiannon Willans.
Hi, my name's Rhiannon Willans. I'm an actor, poet and a singer, and I'm based in Kent.
Jason Blackwater.
I am Jason Blackwater. I'm an actor improviser from Brighton, UK, and I'm currently based in Orlando, Florida.
Philippa Hammond.
Hello, I'm Philippa Hammond, actor, voice artist, and I live in Brighton.
Sasha Wilson.
Hi, I'm Sasha Wilson. I'm an actor, writer, and co-artistic director of Out of the Forest Theatre, and I'm based in London.
Danny Adams.
Hi, I'm Danny Adams. I'm an actor, singer, musician based out of New York City.
And Phoebe Elliott.
Hi, I'm Phoebe Elliott. I'm an actor and I'm based in London.
Wonderful. Danny and Phoebe, of course, are valiant swings who, in the event of technical difficulties or personal emergencies, would have swung into action to keep the story moving forward. As it stands, they instead had an incredible cameo as some of King Henry IV's most dedicated and aggressive soldiers. So congratulations on that. Tremendous work. Thank you all so much for that. I genuinely just had a fantastic time watching it. You all put in such incredible graft over the past 2.5 days, and I just want to commend, celebrate, and congratulate you for that. It was absolutely superb, and it really paid off. Really tremendous. Thank you so much. Sarah, do we have any questions?
Oh, so we've got, there's a couple starting to come
Wonderful.
through, so we'll kind of get cracking. I had, actually, I'll come back to that one because I know, Adam, you were having sound issues yet, so I'll come back to this one. But one question was for everyone. Oh, are you back again? Yay, lovely. We had a question about the music, because it had a bit of a metal theme to it this week. So maybe you can tell us about it.
Yeah, definitely Rob's choice, but we made 4 themes. So there's it was actually thematic. So Henry IV, how Falstaff and Hotspur had a theme. So for example, Henry IV's theme was kind of slower but majestic, whereas Hal was a bit kind of punkier and a bit lighter in the mix. Yes, as an example of the madness that we go to.
Yeah, absolutely. And all the themes had different variants that plotted those characters' tracks through the play. So they were kind of, you could hear war drums starting to come in as we started to careen towards Act 5 and things like that. Absolutely fantastic work, Adam. I loved it, and I take nothing back. I stand by that decision 100%. For me, this is a metal play, so I'm very happy to give it a metal vibe. Full show. Amazing. Everybody as well, if you've enjoyed the show so far, do please like the video, subscribe to the channel, consider making a donation, tip your actors using our Patreon fund. You can donate as little as £1.20 per month, which amounts to 30p a show. So if you fancy tipping your actors for this evening, please do so. Everything that you can give is massively appreciated. And if you're not in a position to do so, which of course I appreciate many of you might not be, it's free to submit us for the Time in Awards under the cultural activity that has made life worth living during lockdown category. So please check out the YouTube description for more information on how to do that. Sarah, do we have any more questions?
Yes, I've got one here for our lovely Hotspur. Someone said, great death. And asked, what did you use for blood?
Well, there's different, well, thank you very much, first of all. There's different kind of concoctions you can use, and I kind of spent an afternoon in the kitchen making it up. But in the end, it's just red food colouring and raspberry jam splashed everywhere. So it tastes great.
Most important thing.
Exactly. You're going to have a mouth full of it. Wonderful. Any more, Sarah?
Yes, I've got one here. It says, what surprised the cast about Henry IV Part 1? Open to the floor.
For me, what I always find with Shakespeare is it's always a lot deeper than you think it is. And there's so much undercurrent of everything. And everyone always says there's no subtext in Shakespeare. But he uses so many mirrorings and so much antithesis in all of his work that every time I do a play and every time I go into a play, it's always so much deeper than I think it is. And again, I was surprised again with Henry IV, I think, especially with Hotspur, because he seems really angry on the top, but actually there's a lot bubbling underneath that is causing all of that. So that was interesting for me.
Wonderful. Yeah, go Natalie. Yeah.
That as a history play, I was surprised at how relevant it still is today, that kind of story that you've got of a father and son and how it still happens today. Dad's like, you need to grow up, you need to be more mature, and you like that other guy that we're looking at over here, more of that. I just think it's very much relevant in today's age.
Absolutely. Andy, how did you find navigating that father-son relationship?
Yeah, it's so lovely, like that scene just before the interval in our version is exactly like Natalie was just saying. It's so relevant. Like you know, I've had that conversation with my dad. I'm not quite old enough to have that conversation with I don't have children, but I'm, you know what I mean? I don't think I'd be that old enough to have if they were of age. But yeah, I think it's the humanity of it. And going back to the question about the surprise, that is one of the things that it's so, and that's kind of one of the things that why these plays kind of transcend the test of time, I guess, is that they are so human, and those things are quite relevant. And also, one thing that surprises me is how funny it is how funny this play is. Because you've got your comedies, you've got your histories, and you think they all kind of fit in their own little categories, but there's loads of hilarious moments in this. So, yeah.
Absolutely. It feels to me like just a wonderful blend of comedy, history, and tragedy, right? Like there's real strong, palpable parts that he seems to be taking from each. And I guess for the first time, starting to get really bold and really remixing those elements and playing with them. For me, the thing that surprised me about it, I've been involved in productions before, I've been in it before, and yet coming to it again, there are a couple of scenes that in productions that I was in have been cut. Things like the first and second carrier scene with the Chamberlain, who is the guy who gives the thieves their mark, right? So he runs this kind of B&B, and then anyone who stops over, if they're minted, he goes and tells Gadzil and gets a cut. And for me, things like that, we've had moments of that in Henry VI, where you get the citizens almost like a chorus telling you what their opinion of the land was at the time. But I don't think they've ever had quite as much agency as they do in this play. They have their own agenda, they have their own lives, their own stuff that they're trying to get on with and trying to thrive in quite a difficult environment. And where before the citizens have been used to share a spectrum of opinions on what's going on with the ruling class, these people couldn't give a monkeys, frankly, about what's going on up in the higher echelons of power. They're busy doing their bit. And I felt that was something that definitely surprised me in this one. So, yes, go on. Dougie, big Dougie.
Me. I think what surprised me about this one in particular is that there's no real villain. In especially in history plays, there's always someone that you hate. That you can't wait to see them killed. If you look at something like Richard III being my favorite example, is that you just you just can't wait for him to die. But there's no one in this that you really hate or that you're really against, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's 100% the case that both sides feel as rootable for as each other. It's one of those things where you just kind of put all these elements together and then smush them against each other, and it's kind of like, God, I don't know who I want to win, but it's very exciting. Yeah. Oh, Douglas, my favourite character as well. I think my favourite line in the play is, "He that runs his horse up a hill perpendicular." Fantastic.
So epic.
Pops a wheelie up a cliff. Brilliant. Sarah, do we have any more questions?
Yes, actually, I wanted to throw over to Enrique for a minute, because we had lots of brilliant feedback on the fights this week, which were amazing. So, Enrique, could you tell us a little bit about them?
Yes, they were great, but because they were in mine. No. About the fights. No, yes, it's I guess after the great reception from the fights about several weeks ago with Romeo and Juliet, there was a great feedback from the audience about using other people. So this was the next play that had a massive amount of fights happening at the same time or happening on stage. So I thought, Garrett is back, so we thought we would keep one fight. So we did Hal versus Hotspur. That was us fighting, but having other fights, we thought we would just again reach out to the big stage combat community, and we got one couple from the States, and one couple again from the UK, and yeah, all the work is theirs. I just see them direct them a bit, but all the work is there. So yeah, kudos to them, absolutely.
Wonderful. And fantastic job from Adam as well, kind of elevating those with some Hollywood sound effects.
Yeah, absolutely.
Including a particularly brutal stomach stab.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, thank you.
I know your taste, Rob. I know your taste.
You do indeed. You do. And that taste is gratuitous in all things. I am a theatrical Falstaff. I am a fan of excess. I'd rather go too far than not far enough. 100%. Wonderful. Any more questions, Sarah?
Yes, so actually one thing I just wanted to quickly come back to from earlier was a question about, we were talking about the Welsh scene and the Welsh song. So I got the name of it, but Rhiannon, I will not be able to pronounce it. So I'll throw this one over to you if that's all right.
Perfect. Yeah, it's called Dacw yn Cariad, which it's a love song, isn't it? It's about it's a princess waiting for her love under a tree with a harp. So yeah, there is my sweetheart. It translates as directly. So it was easy to learn.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to shout you out big style for learning all that Welsh in no time at all, and then not only delivering it accurately, as our audience reliably informs us, but also with such emotion and feeling that I felt like I could understand what you were saying, which, you know, in Welsh in Shakespeare is like triple difficulty level, right? So quite a gymnastic feat.
Thank you. Thank you.
So great, so great. Wonderful.
Awesome.
And to you as well, wonderful Glendower, Leo.
Thank you.
Yes.
Fantastic work.
Yes, it was how to speak from the throat constantly.
What do you do when all you have is consonants? I'm sure
yes.
Welsh Scrabble is very high scoring.
Yes, I said that was no vowels allowed.
Brilliant.
It's a challenge. I've got to say it was a challenge, but yeah, I enjoyed it.
Wonderful. I just want to check, Eric Rasmussen, are you still with us? Oh, what a shame. It seems like we might have lost him.
Yeah.
Not to worry. He's still on the call, so we might just give him another cheeky shout out, because I'd love to find out what he's looking forward to in part 2. But before that, do we have any more questions, Sarah?
Yes, so I've got one here that said, did the actors feel the pace build in the same way that the audience did? And this is very impressive for a virtual platform, and bravo one and all. So, but yes, how did you feel about the pace of the play?
I feel it, definitely. I think the way that the scenes get shorter as it goes on in the second half, certainly, they're constantly being taken to different locations, and you can't help but get carried along with it.
Yeah.
That's all I had to add.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, sorry.
No, go for it. No, sorry.
I think in the first half we've got some of those really long scenes, like the scene in the pub with all the pub goers, and that scene feels, when you're doing it, it feels like it's forever. And then as soon as you get into the second half and you put a bit of blood on, you like pick up a mic stand for a sword, and it's suddenly like the quickest thing in the world. So yeah, definitely felt the pace.
Wonderful. Shamiso.
Yeah, all I was going to say is that some parts of the show we're seeing for the first time as well, just because of the nature of the rehearsal process. So you have a kind of really disjointed picture in your head about how things will flow and feel on the night. And then in between bits, I sit here and I watch it and it just zooms past. And so for sure, even in the cast, we're feeling the same acceleration of pace that the audience is, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, oh, go on, sorry, Daniel.
Oh, I was going to say, it's great to see it all in sequence and in its entirety together, because the last 2 days we've all just been seeing little pieces here and there, and to see some of those scenes that I wasn't involved in, it just mind-blowing.
Yeah, it's for me, I think it's something that started to come through really strongly in Merchant last week. This idea of Shakespeare as almost film editor, and he's starting to hop and intercut between locations, and it's something that he did with the Prince of Morocco, right? So Prince of Morocco arrives, and then 2 other scenes happen, and then the Prince of Morocco makes his choice of a box. And I feel like 2 plays earlier, that would have been 1 scene. But all of a sudden, Shakespeare's starting to get this knack of intercutting. And then with this one, you're getting one camp, then the other camp, then the other camp, then the other camp. And you're starting to intercut much more to really just keep that momentum up and keep giving the audience something different. You know, it feels to me, and I feel like it's more true of this play probably than any that we've done so far, that Shakespeare is always a variety show, right? He's trying to give something for everyone, and he's also trying to make sure that there are as many different colours and flavours and textures within one piece as he can. And I think that acceleration of rhythm is yet another tool that he's kind of developed over the last few plays, really. Yes, Leo?
It was something that just occurred to me, and it harks back to what you said about Shakespeare being a film editor. And that is the setting that he was writing for, the Globe, had so many different positions and levels that he was able to write in what you could call a televisual style, because he could cut from one place to the next without changing, without spoiling focus. You could go from the end of one up down there to one up there, which we can't do in a cross arch situation anymore. We have to do changes. So yeah, effectively, I suppose I'm backing you up that's why the pace builds, because there is no time to draw breath between one scene and the next and the next and the next. So
absolutely, yeah. And I think it's always exciting when you get that sense of the scenes almost kind of clipping each other off at the end. And it's one of those things that in a live production, obviously we wouldn't have, because, these are performed readings. We are putting those acting scene changes in there so that everybody can get a sense of the structure of the play and what's included where and all the rest of it. And it's a useful resource in that way. But the one thing that does do is obviously create those transitions where I think the pace would be even more blistering if we were just rattling literally from scene to scene. And I think on Zoom, potentially a little bewildering as well for that matter. So I think it's also helpful to have them for that reason. But yeah, I think seeing this on a stage, you would really, and especially on a stage like the Globe, as you say, we've got multiple levels. You've also got those two really prominent columns where you can sit things on one side and one on the other side. I think, yeah, you'd be really galloping away. Yeah, fantastic, fantastic. Sarah, any more questions?
Yes, I've got one for Seb. Someone said, first of all, you were amazing.
Thank you.
And they asked, were you really excited to play Hal?
Well, thank you very much. That's really nice to hear. Yeah, I was. I got an email from Sydney saying, would you like to play Hal this week? And I ran around the room. It's a dream role for me. I kind of first got hooked on the Hal narrative from seeing Henry V when I was about 13. So I just loved the whole story arc, and I hope I did it justice. So yeah, I was over the moon. So thank you for having me, guys.
Oh, not at all, mate. You did an absolutely tremendous job, mate. Tremendous job. Big old round of applause. Seriously, relentless energy, relentless commitment, relentless focus, not just for tonight, but for 2.5 days. It's been a pleasure, a real pleasure, and such a great thing to see. I also just want to amplify what you said about the arc of Hal into Henry V, which for me, probably Margaret in the Henry VI's is the only one that comes close to having a journey that is as rich and as varied and as profound as the one that he writes for Hal and later King Henry. I think it's some of his absolute best work.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wonderful. Probably time for one or two more questions, Sarah, if we've got them.
I think we've covered everything.
Wonderful. Excellent news. Fabulous. Well, listen, we will leave you all to it then. Thank you so much for joining us for this evening's performance. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like the video. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please tell all your friends about it and get them to tune in next week for nothing other than The Merry Wives of Windsor, a Falstaff spin-off apparently commanded by decree of Elizabeth herself. Queen Elizabeth, such a fan of the Falstaff character that she was like, more of that guy, please. You'll have heard Eric talking about one of the versions of that story earlier. It's a wonderful piece. It features Mistress Quickly again as well, reprising that part. And yes, it's going to be an absolute laugh riot. So we've got a real brilliant knockabout comedy and one of the earliest probably farces after Comedy of Errors that we've already covered. So tune in. It's going to be such a great laugh, such a great time. So thank you all so much for joining us. See you next week.